Welcome, Misfits, to the new District of Misfits Show, the drinking show with a podcast problem. On this show, we offer you an insider's guide to what truly makes DC tick, the real behind-the-scenes shit that happens beyond the curtain, the raw, uncut version of life in our great city of DC, told by us before someone else tells it for us. We make no excuses for any of our actions once the show begins.
Welcome to the new District of Misfits Show. I'm Marcus Bradley Donovan. I'm excited we are live from the Hardcast studio in the Washington Post building. Tonight our sponsors are
Chuck Levins, Hardcast Media, DC as Fuck Brand, and St. Arnold's Restaurant Group.
Ladies and gentlemen, the St. Arnold's Restaurant Group consists of, there's a Cleveland Park location. That's where the Abbey is. Am I right, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And the Cleveland Park situation is literally, it's more or less underground. It's a good time. It's a good place to be in. We had a party there a couple weeks ago or whatever like that, and you guys should have showed up or whatever. It would have been a really good time. There's also the Tiber Beer House, and let's not forget Jefferson Place Northwest, where your experience, the Belgian beer experience right under, will be literally everything you've ever think of. You know, you think about, that Belgian beer experience, that good beer, that good, that good pretzel, you know what I mean? The good cheese, whole 9 yards, your Bavarian style things to go and have a good time to. And also at the same time, a possible future sponsor, but somebody who's going to be on the show a couple of weeks, Black Leaf Vodka, ladies and gentlemen. Something that
Shout out to Black Leaf Vodka.
Shout out to Black Leaf Vodka. Something that we are having our signature cocktail of tonight.
And what is that signature cocktail?
That signature cocktail, I'm just going to call it that goodness, that good old fashioned, let's make something happen.
Ooh, the Let's Make Something Happen?
Is
that what that's called?
Happen. Let's make something happen. 2 ounces of Black Leaf Vodka, 1 ounce of St. Elder's, natural, what's the shit called? Jesus Christ. Elderflower liqueur. One nice little splash of the good old-fashioned lime juice and some good old champagne for flavor.
I could tell you work at a dive bar if you don't know what elderflower
Wait,
is.
pause, guys. I know what elderflower is. I'm just saying that's what I put in it, and that's what y'all drinking right now. And last time I checked, y'all hoes liked it.
I don't really like it. Anyway, tonight our guest is going to be Miss Corey Bryant. But tonight, I'm Marcus Bradley Donovan. My co-host is
Boo Dixon. And the lovely and talented
Valerie Torres.
On Facebook.
And the bartender tonight is
Jamie Roderick, ladies and gentlemen.
And again, our special guest is Miss. Introduce yourself.
Corey Bryant.
Corey Bryant, ladies and gentlemen.
You got to interject yourself here.
Oh, okay.
We like you already.
We have a lot of big mouths here, so you got to step up, or we're assholes.
And so for those of you who are watching that used to watch the old show, as you can see, we're hitting the ground stumbling as per usual. Happy to be here. New show, new season, new exciting adventures to go on.
New name.
New name.
New page.
New page. Please have your friends like us, share us, spread the word.
The District of the Misfits Show on Facebook and Instagram. We've been gone for 2 weeks. We're back. We got to get our feet wet again and get into this whole routine. So everybody, part of the new thing we're going to do is going to start off with, I'm kind of curious how everybody was and how everybody's week was. So, Boo, how was your week?
My week was pretty awesome. My little girl turned 6.
Congratulations.
Slightly freaking out and feeling ever so much older, but really excited to be able to put her up on a pedestal and make her feel like a special little lady.
Remember that time Marcus made your daughter cry?
That was a truly magical day. Oh, you thought you were going to actually get through this episode without that coming?
You didn't?
You thought that you were actually going to get through this episode without that happening?
I mean, I needed a piece of paper. I went and grabbed a piece of paper because we were doing...
we were making notes. Well, no, we were answering questions.
Yeah.
You stole it from a little girl.
Can we just point out the fact that there was a full notebook that was open right here on the table?
And a giant pile of construction paper.
Yeah.
So I am the asshole of the week. That's fine. I'll take every bit of that.
My daughter is now traumatized every time she sees a hairy white man.
Or a piece
the crazy white man with a beard.
As she should be. You in the corner, be quiet.
Shout out to the honey
short little Irish motherfucker right here.
Whatever.
Don't you see the buckles on me shoes? I'm leprechaun.
Val, how was your week?
It was good. I was back at work. And And I mean, that's really well. Okay, let's say it was fine, but it was slow as fuck. I mean,
Yeah.
up in Cleveland Park, this furlough really has
The
killed
shutdown is
killed our business.
There's a lot of
Not
that
just
in
ours.
Cleveland Park.
But
and when we went to come see you at the other spot,
The place we would not speak
District.
of.
Yeah,
No, we're not saying that name.
No,
we don't have to.
We don't have to. But yeah, when we went to see you at your
Fuck
other
that
job,
place.
like that, I mean, we were there in the middle of the day and like what would have been peak lunchtime, and it
Yeah,
was.
and it was
Yeah, this
And
furlough
I
sucks.
found parking in 5 minutes on
Wow.
M Street in Midtown. So
Nice.
at 1 o'clock.
at
in the
1
afternoon.
o'clock in the afternoon on a weekday.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. Jamie, how was your week? Really? Like that?
Really?
Fantastic week, I see.
You know what?
Wow.
It's one of them things like where you wake up too hungover to jerk off. One of them type of situations or whatever. I've had a real.
That's
odd
bad.
Week.
That is a.
I've had a real.
That's a
odd
week.
week.
Was
It's-
that every
it's
single
just-
day you woke up hungover?
No, not every single day, but you know, just trying to like do stuff and not be like disorganized. One of them situations or whatever. But like your girl be like, stop being disorganized. But I was like, yeah, I did too much drinking last night. So like motherfucker been in trouble.
I was
been
going to
so
say,
good,
that was my next
basically.
thing. Have you been in trouble all
You've
week?
been in
All-
constant recovery all week.
All week, like.
So
and
how do we get out of this doghouse you're in?
watch your mouth. And
wait a minute. That wasn't even bad.
I have a very lovely person who loves me too, and
Your mom?
Oh yeah, Jamie's.
not deserving. My mom don't actually like me all that much. I ain't gonna hold you, but no, I'm chilling. I'm good. Still breathing. Still kicking. No new news or whatever. And as Boo, as another father, understands that like life at a 5 is the shit.
Yeah, it also
like,
is
no new
never.
news.
There is no rest.
There's no rest.
There's
like
no rest.
like just to be like, hey, listen, nothing new, nothing dope, nothing crazy, no highs, no lows, just like that flat line. I'm killing it right now.
Oh my god, I just saw a hand. Was that my hand?
Probably is. Is it black
Could
or
have
white?
been.
If it's white, it's mine.
Anyways, Corey, how was your week?
Chicken.
It was pretty boring. I did a lot of schoolwork. It's a lot of that.
What are you in school for?
Stuff pertaining to like.
So I'm taking a big immersive at General Assembly for user experience design, and we had big group projects due like essentially every 2 weeks, and that was a lot of what actually you guys all participated in that when we were gonna.
We did.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it
why I
turned
ripped the
out-
girl's
Did
paper
we
up.
did we pass?
You did pass. You
We're
did
not
pass.
homicidal
Did we?
maniacs, or at least we're really good at
Well,
covering it
Speak
up.
for yourself.
You
Calm
guys will be
down.
proud that basically I got up and like refuted the brief that we got. So people come, like these are real entrepreneurs. They come and they ask General Assembly to help them. And I'm actually doing something with DC.gov for the next project. But you guys were helping a company called Sweet Fleet. And
Sweet Fleet.
yeah. They
What did
they
they
had
do?
all of us compete versus each other for the best ideas, and I basically got up and said 70% of people like to give gifts in person, which is against the like mail order system that she was going for. But she thought I was clever, but she did not elaborate a lot on my idea. So
Shit.
while we passed, I don't know if I would say that we were
She didn't like
part
you.
of the chosen ones.
So, Corey, being our guest, why don't you tell the viewing public a little bit about yourself and what you do? Why you's here?
Yeah, I'm a full-time student right now, but I bartended at Little Miss Whiskey's Golden Dollar over on H Street for 3 years. But I've worked a lot of places in DC, and I'm pretty proud of a group called District Industry, and we're just trying to get the hospitality community to speak to each other. Something that came up during I-77 was just that we're a huge portion of the employment here in DC, but we don't have many resources.
We're the biggest.
We're the second biggest.
Right. Next to the federal government, we are the
Second biggest workforce.
workforce.
Yeah,
Yes.
they've taken 1-2 hit this last couple weeks because of it.
Yep.
They're the biggest, we're the second biggest. So it's
Yep.
been
Can I ask you a really weird question? Not really
Yeah.
weird. What is the funniest thing you've seen on that district interest page?
That's actually a good
Man.
question.
So I ran it since 2013 because I was trying to source the small donut inside of a CO2 tank. And I just put like 300 of my friends in a group and I was like, hey, does anybody have an extra one? And then they, of course, ripped on the rep. They were like, they should have given you extra donuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say now to anybody outside of the industry, what you just said sounds like some really weird fucking shit.
Swahili.
Yes, blah blah blah. But it's the seal. It's the seal that
reason
holds it together.
It's black magic and voodoo.
It's the reason why you can get
important.
draft beer.
Yeah, it's what
the
makes your
main
beer.
reason.
It's what keeps your beer foamy.
And
or
that
helps.
was at Atomic, which is we were neighbors with
Yes.
St. Arnold's and the Abbey. So we actually shared old legendary Club Soda's stairwell. So I know Val for a really long time.
Shout out to Club Soda.
Yeah, I had one time I was decorating for Halloween, and a woman she had to be 85 came down in a cane very slowly, said, "Ha! I just want to make sure old drug soda was still standing."
Oh shit!
It was 2:00 in the afternoon.
Shots fired, yo.
It was 2:00 in the afternoon, and so I was just like, "Okay, well, bye." We open at 5.
Yo.
Drug soda. Is
What
that
is that?
code word for something? I don't
I
know.
think it's exactly what you
It's
think it was.
exactly what you think it is.
Kids
But it was
down
an
a
old jazz
hall.
club. I tried to do research on it
Ah.
one time, but I never found it because Club Soda everything to do with, the beverage.
So how old is the name Club Soda?
I think it
mean-
goes back to like Bohemian Caverns time, like they
No
were.
shit. So this
contemporary.
lady
It
really
had
knew what
like
she knew.
it used to have an old school kind of noir like signage out front.
so
It's
she
still
knew-
there. It's still there.
Is it still
actually.
there?
It
So
just
she knew
doesn't
what she
light
was
up.
talking about. So she did a lot of lines in that place, probably.
I mean,
I mean,
there's-
87 with a cane.
I don't
going
want to.
down steps.
I don't want to defame the memory of
Fuck
any
that.
beloved
No.
beloved
shout out to
newscasters that are no
Atomic,
longer
too.
with us,
I,
but a duo of former newscasters, neither of which are with us anymore, apparently used to spend a lot of time there.
So the Abbey got the kitchen side, and then Atomic, which I ran from 2013 to 16, basically like they got the stage part, and so that's why we don't have a kitchen in there.
Gotcha,
So it's
yeah.
just, and that's owned by the Bedrock Group, and I've worked for Rocket Bar and big names like Hard
Shout out to
Rock
Rocket Bar
and
Buffalo.
Buffalo, and
Yeah, what all did they own? I mean, what else did they own? They own,
I
what,
mean,
just-
Atomic, Bedrock, Buffalo, Carpool.
Carpool,
still part of that?
Iron Horse.
Yeah, Iron
wow.
Horse. Shout out to Iron Horse.
Oh,
The
shit.
Laughing
Iron
Man,
Horse.
Penn Social,
Holy shit.
the
Oh,
Boardroom on both DC and Virginia. Then they spawned Big Chief, Franklin Hall. Those are all part of those group of guys.
They
that
just,
wow.
They just
yeah.
didn't stop. They just kept
No,
going.
and then what they did is they take people in and they give GMs, like if they think they're talented. And I was offered this once. I did not take this, but basically they let you vet, so you just bartend and make money, and you don't make much of a salary, and then you become like 50% owner of your bar.
Oh, that's awesome.
So they do like sweat equity. So a lot of these bars that start out like with 3 group of guys, like they basically elaborated by like keep bringing in talent. And so Brian, who owns, shout out to Lost and Found over by the Franklin Center, he used to run Nanny O'Brien's when I was at Atomic.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
so and then they all just keep going. So it's, I've worked for all the, and then, of course, Comet Ping Pong and Hard Rock Cafe.
Shout out to Comet Ping Pong.
Amen.
I went to Hard Rock Cafe for Marvel MCU trivia.
Whoa.
what is
Hey, here in DC?
Nerd alert.
Excuse me.
Marvel MC?
Cause
Are
this
those
was-
movies that
this-
Marcus has never watched?
Oh, wait, he watched one
One.
last
it was-
weekend.
and when I say this was like one of the stupidest situations I've ever been in my entire life, like
That's
100%
the
right.
stupidest?
And then like ended up getting into an argument with like this goofy.
Of course you did.
Only you
just-
could get into a nerd fight with somebody at a Hard Rock
Let me
Cafe.
tell you, I've gotten in nerd arguments, yo. So you know that comic book shop, Planet Comics on 16th Street. Went in there a couple weeks ago, and like just to go pick up a comic book, and like was looking in like the news section or whatever,
And got in a fight.
and like comic book guy like walks back there, and he's like, so are you looking for something for like a gift or something like that?
Black Panther.
And I was like, no, like
Black
you know,
Penta.
like I'm just checking out the news section. I already knew I was gonna pick up or whatever. He was like, do you know what you're doing? And I was like, hey,
Wow.
look, cuz I'm gonna
That's
tell you
aggressive.
right
Wait,
now.
this guy didn't realize you were
I'd be
big enough
so
to give him
mad
a
if someone
swirly?
said
No, that's what I'm saying. Though. But
Did
in
he
like
not?
this is something that like I've explained to like a lot of people, or whatever. Like in the nerd community, you can get into a real argument, and somebody as big as my black ass is can have a real discussion with somebody who is like 5'2", 300 pounds, diabetic,
You called this dude an
fat
asshole. and he's not
tongue,
gonna
whole
beat you.
9 yards. And I like had to look at him and was like, yo, cuz, seriously, I know what I'm doing. Please don't do this right now.
So
because
are you saying you got profiled?
I got profile, cuz.
Wow.
I got profile. I got profile for not looking
How
like a
do you get
nerd.
profile? Oh, so what's
You got nerd. You got profiled on the nerd tip.
I got
So was it-
nerd profile.
You got profiled on the nerd
I
tip.
got
Like,
profiled on nerd tip.
I think
you-
it's because you look so cool.
do you even understand the Dewey Decimal System,
And here's
bro?
the thing. Here's the thing, yo. I'm not that cool. I am
We-
not. I am such a
we know.
nerd. I am
Jamie,
such
we
a
spend
nerd.
every
We
week.
see
If
with
you call me out, Marcus, I swear to God, I will.
Jamie, we see your
We
hat.
try to get
We know you're not
sponsors.
cool.
What I'm saying is, like,
We see your hat. We know you're
but
not
like seriously, guys, like it was one of them situations where I was like actually like really upset. Like, yo, like I'm gonna have to put you down. Like, I know what my first comic book was. Like, I know comic book history. I have both encyclopedias for DC and Marvel.
So,
And like he called me on it, and I was just like, "We gonna play this game. Let's play this game." You
You've
know?
been waiting for someone to do that.
I haven't because I don't like to call people
encyclopedias.
out.
That's a certain amount of knowledge that you would like to remember. Like that's a commitment.
I mean, Boo will tell you.
I read
and
comic
Boo's
books.
a black nerd with me.
I'm a blurred.
Yeah.
so are you into comic books as well?
Yeah. So when I worked for insurance for the business benefits group, there was a really big community outside of George Mason. And so I actually just finished it won a Hugo Award, I believe, the Miss Marvel. They came back, not the one that's in the theater.
The new one with the little girl.
Yeah, she's Muslim. Yeah, it was really good.
What's for people like me who don't know? Please continue. What's a Hugo Award?
Oh, it's a science fiction award that has been around since the 60s, I believe. And it's just sort of like this is the voice that we think did a good job in that genre. And not a lot of women, they're just outnumbered, and for whatever reason. And this won one of those. And I'm missing one of those comics, by the way, if anybody has that I can read. I got 4 of the 6.
I can guarantee I have it.
Yeah. Okay. We can talk. I would love that. No, it was really good. It was really good though. Like I recommend it. And Miss Marvel came back as like a 15-year-old girl that doesn't understand her body, but like also really hurts people. So I liked it. Like she really gets herself in a, sort of like a Nancy.
For people who aren't
Drew-ness.
paying attention, Miss Marvel is like Marvel's universe version of like Superman.
That's what I've
Yeah.
heard. Because I
Yeah.
guess there's that new movie coming out, so I'm trying to get into all this. Because doesn't she save the Avengers Day and shit like
Yeah.
that?
All right, wait.
Brie Larson can do whatever she wants.
You know what? Not going to do
Roll
this
it
right
back
now.
a little.
Not
Yeah,
gonna
this
do
is
that
that. Yeah, that's a whole nother episode.
That's
See
a
what
whole
I'm dealing
nother
with?
show.
We'll wait
That's
till
a whole
awesome
nother
cons in
show.
town, and then we can completely just nerd out all over.
I
each
mean-
other.
Yeah.
And it'll give you time to catch up. You got some homework to do.
I mean, I need.
Also,
and-
can we
I've
discuss how?
probably
Admittedly-
seen every comic book movie ever.
We got to get
I mean,
Marcus the list of
admittedly-
Marvel movies to watch in chronological order.
See, I need to do that too because there are several that I've missed.
So
Gotta-
we got to go in order the comic
There
books?
is no. The
No,
Yeah,
movies.
there's like chronologically.
The
there are,
movies
like,
all
It's
come
a
out in a
universe.
specific order,
Yeah.
and if you watch them in a certain order, it all ties together and makes sense.
Especially because
There's a
Sony's
couple of them
playing
that
nice.
came out of order that you might actually gain like reference. Like the Spider-Man movies probably would be better not done.
Not
in the
yeah.
order
Don't
they
do
were
the Spider-Man
presented to
movies.
us
Don't do
the
the
first time.
Just
Also,
do the,
wait, pause. Not saying
Pause.
don't do the Spider-Man
No,
movies.
no,
but that,
no.
that last Spider-Man movie that came out.
You're missing my
The
point.
cartoon one, I
Anybody-
really
No,
wanna
no,
watch
you're,
it.
you're
Go
mi-
see it.
You're missing my
Oh,
point.
I
What I
haven't
was
seen
what I was
that. I
saying
wanted
is
to see that.
Sony does the Spider-Man franchise, and they are only kind of just now catching up to the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is Disney, Lucasfilms, et cetera. It's a different,
It's playing
I'm
nice.
a pretty big Disney.
But they're
fan,
just
too.
now Sony and Marvel. They've all finally come together under the same umbrella, and so yes, this new Spider-Man that you've been seeing.
Spider-Gwen. I want to see what they did with it.
Oh, Spider-Verse. We already nerded out about that, but we
I
can
haven't
totally
seen
go
it.
back
Don't
to
ruin
it.
it for me.
No,
Talk
I
about
won't,
that
but it's
whenever.
awesome.
I wanna
Go
watch
check
it.
it out.
Whatever.
I don't.
My
re-
son lost his mind in the theater watching
good.
it. But also, if you read comic books, Spider-Man's the one that catches you. Spider-Man's
Spider-Man's
the first one.
always really accessible. I
He's
feel.
young. He does parkour.
He's a fuck up. He's always
Right.
screwing shit up. He's always late to
Right.
work. He can't fucking maintain a relationship.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
very
relatable.
Very relatable.
Fuck Mary
Yeah.
Jane in certain
And the
universes.
spiders everywhere, and we're always kind of scared of them anyway, right?
Yeah,
so there's a little like
Yeah,
a
I'm-
snake. I would be scared of that too.
I'm
Is there a
not afraid of
superhero
snakes.
that
I'm
got
scared
bit
of
by a
snakes.
snake?
Spiders are what I'm
A
scared of.
spider roll across this table. Well, it depends on how big it is.
No, I don't like fucking. I don't like creepy crawlers or spiders. Like snakes, I'll just pick one up, fuck with it. Creepy crawlers and shit. Like
Marcus will throw that shit in some soup.
I have.
And fucking make some stock out of that
young,
bitch.
young Sheffrey over here.
and Jeffrey,
Jeffrey.
old Jeffrey.
I have a massive phobia of spiders.
Hmm.
Like massive.
Like even little teeny.
Sort of like how
like-
Jamie is with clowns.
But
It's
I think
not
it's
clowns.
worse.
Y'all keep bringing this up. It is not clowns. It is an alien, celestial fucking being who has beef with a celestial turtle who crash landed in Maine, and his name is Id. I am not scared of clowns. I am scared of an alien who poses as a clown. Thank you very much, Dick.
A lot of things.
All right.
It's very specific.
I just got goosebumps because y'all brought that up.
All right, so I want to.
talk about
I want to go back
Korea?
into the District of Industries a little bit more.
District industry.
District.
I see. I got the district. Oh, see, I got the whole thing in my head now. So it's funny. Anytime I look for our page, it keeps coming to your page.
Oh yeah, I didn't answer that question you said earlier about what the craziest thing was either too.
Yeah, well, let's go. Let's start with that one then.
Well, one time I saw a guy. This happened. So I really try to be like, I don't have any issues with any of my admins. I'm in this power group for Facebook where people sort of have those, and I'm very lucky that like they're just a group of friends of mine, and they were meant to be, before everyone moved around, representative of a different part of the city. And so like I wouldn't be able to speak to Chinatown because I wasn't there. They might have different problems. And now everybody's switched jobs enough that that's not really accurate any longer. But I try not to make rules. There's no rules against being an asshole in there, but I try to run it like a pre-shift, right? Like keep the language not ridiculous. I make people edit it. And then somebody complained about, okay, so everyone knows that's worked in the industry. If Abra comes, or just anybody that there's any sort of disruption, you usually pick up the phone and you let your neighbor know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
That's
that's an
always been
old
a thing.
phone tree thing,
put out,
right?
put out the word.
Yeah, just like, hey, this is what happened, or like there was a sketchy person, or I would at Nanny O'Brien's, they would get banned at Atomic and Nanny's simultaneously. Like they backed me to the hilt, which was great because it's not like you're not just. Because I was a lady GM of a pool hall. There's 97% dudes, that work there, but like they were just like ride or die about it. So this person decided to complain about how people were saying that Abra was down, like Abra in H Street. He was like, "Oh, you should just do your jobs, idiots."
I remember that post.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like,
that,
yo.
Like, but he did it at like 3 a.m. after everyone had gotten off Saturday night shift, and people were lighting him up.
Dead man walking. Yeah.
And I didn't see it right away, frankly. I didn't see it until like later, but I was just like,
I'm pretty
he
sure
wasn't
I lit him
violent.
up too.
Yeah, he wasn't violent, and he didn't like say vulgarities, and
He's just insulting.
but there's no rules against
that's-
being
yeah.
like, would I ask him to leave my pre-shift? Maybe, but like you just have to kind of treat it like
But
it's
if-
still the internet.
Well, he put it out there and got the adequate response.
I mean,
and
and
so,
I-
you know,
But, you know-
hopefully
I do
he
have
learned a
one
lesson.
question for you. Do you remember while we were going through the whole like 77 argument or whatever? And I'm going to say they, because I don't feel like mentioning their names, when they were like, oh, the DC industry page doesn't speak for the DC industry. How'd you feel about that?
Well, okay, so all the time this happens on Facebook where I'll get invited to a group and like there's another industry group. So I didn't know that if it wasn't true. I was like, oh, they don't make, maybe there is actually another industry page and I'm just unaware of it. But I also think that, they just weren't listening to anything we had to say. And I think that was an issue. Like I would never go in and like tell a police officer, hey, this is how you have to pay your people. Like, so
Right.
I think like just both sides really need to listen a lot more. And I did laugh because I always think people that talk down to others, that's just making them look pretty stupid. Like, so I was like, oh, it doesn't. Oh. Like, I was with my friends and we bogged a little bit. We're like, oh, okay. Because we don't take it that seriously. So that's,
Right.
that
And
was one thing. But it was like, they were agitators, it felt like.
Yeah, and I think the problem was because, there was no reason for you or the rest of your moderators to really have any concerns about the people joining. Up until then,
Yeah, it went up.
it wasn't that big a deal. But then, like, there started to be people who were not in the industry who just
Why
wanted
would you join the group just to?
because they were joining to troll and to agitate.
What was
or
that-
to
what was
get
that-
like
what was that
toward
guy's
that,
name?
too.
What was that guy's name? The Asian guy or whatever.
Woong Chang.
Oh yeah, so like
My best friend.
after whatever random ass event I went to and he was
The black
there or
cat?
whatever like that.
The black cat?
Like there was somebody
that was brought up at the
there was somebody like recording him talking to somebody
That was
else,
Zach.
and the thing that didn't get posted that he completely ignored. He was talking to somebody. This young lady was very passionate talking to him.
That was
And
Maria.
You could see what type of dickhead he was acting like or whatever. And my whole response to the whole thing was, why are you talking to this dude? Yo, whose man's is this? Like, fuck this dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's literally here. What he's trying to do is he's trying to get the angriest result that he can get. And you're giving him the angriest result. So for real, like, why are you talking to this man?
So,
like he can go and do whatever to himself, and he can try to screw us as much as he wants to. And I sat next to him 2 seats down at the hearing, and every time I cheered, I would look at him, and I would stand up, and I would clap my hands and be like, "Yeah, what you guys say now? What's next? What's next? What's next?" He is a troll and a terrible human being at the same time.
So Jamie, the thing about that black cat thing and that video is what was helpful that came out of that was the fact that
They didn't know it was going to happen.
He said on that video to Maria Berry, he said, you know what? Yeah, there are going to be places that are going to close down. Yeah, there are businesses that are going to shut down and people are going to lose their jobs. And he was like, but that's just collateral damage. And so that blew up everywhere. And then Phil Mendelson brought it up at the hearing.
That's true.
And he said, were you not the one who was on the video? And he goes, and he had the nerve to say, what video?
And
then
receipts.
And then at least 10 of us started like rolling on our phones. We were like, we have the video. And Phil Mendelson was like, in my bay, he was like, oh, we've all seen the video. You're on it.
I mean, that guy, he came on, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He came on, he stirred the pot, he got the thing on the bill.
Attention.
He was the one
Here's
who,
the thing,
10
though.
years ago, he's the one who started this whole ball rolling. He was the one, and he was on District Industry, because he is, for all intents and purposes, industry.
That's the thing, too. I also think that there's a lot of bad actors, and I think that every person that heard all of the stories basically thought, man, if there's people that are suffering, like, I just want a way to, like, tell on them immediately and, like, stop doing this. But I also thought that, it's a sweeping rule that affects a lot of different types of businesses. There's a lot of different types of restaurants. And he got banned by one of my admins. I'm not going to say who. Mary Kelly.
You got caught out, Mary Kelly.
Snitching. Out here snitching. Out here telling.
Basically, I said he could be let back in, but someone had to vouch for him, and no one would vouch for him. And so I would have let him back in the group, actually, because he still is industry. And I also thought that we shouldn't ban people who just thought differently than us.
And I agree with that, yeah.
And so that's the other thing. I did give him a platform, but like it has all the issues that Facebook actually does with security and who are we actually talking to.
You want to leave room for
hard.
civil discourse, but just...
Right.
I said he could come back in and just no one, and shout out to that guy for where he's still the topic of conversation right now as an agitator for like what he was assigned and paid to do as far as I was concerned. So
I always want to know where he is.
But the
so I can like the second he starts that bullshit.
Go to McKenna's.
Like the second he starts like talking trash, I can be like, oh, okay, cool.
That's where he works.
Because like, all right, you want to be antagonistic? Let me show you what antagonistic is.
And the thing,
good people that work at Machetto, we can't work.
The thing that bothered.
I got 2 other friends.
But the thing that bothered me about him was that he purported himself to be this, this full-time employee, like industry worker, tipped employee. When he started this whole thing, he was in California. Yeah. And so they
definitely paid people to come out. And I think what's sad is that
he was paid himself. Like he got a lot of money from that organization.
But also at the same time,
I didn't know that, but that doesn't surprise me.
I do know we're talking about him right now, but at the same time, we shouldn't say his name. We should call him just the same thing we call the president right now.
Scrotus.
Fuck boy.
Hashtag Scrotus.
I apologize at the fact that somebody's going to Google his name and his name's going to pop up during this podcast.
So how about we move on to something positive?
Fucking A.
So as Val was saying earlier, you were working up in Cleveland Park and seeing the effects of the furlough, as are a lot of people in the restaurant, bar industry. Actually, all businesses, all local and otherwise, are feeling the crunch. But there's a lot of people digging deep and helping out their fellow brother and sister.
There's definitely a lot of really good things going on, and part of our new thing of this new show and the way we're fucking moving forward, we're going to start doing segments, and segments for us is the way to get stuff.
People know what segments are, Marcus. Just tell them what we're doing.
Concussion.
Tell them what you're doing. Don't make fun of people with concussions. Don't make fun of people with concussions.
So one of our...
Or people who tear up like sheets of little girls' paper.
You can totally make fun of people that make little girls cry, but don't make fun of people with concussions.
Like Marcus who makes little girls cry.
There's a line. That story will never die.
So
Never.
one of our segments is On the Bright Side, Boo.
On the bright side, yes, where we highlight, people just, doing good, paying it forward and uplifting, people less fortunate than themselves. On this really long list, which I feel like is something we're going to come back to over the next few weeks.
This isn't going away. So
yeah, especially while the shutdown, while the Trump shutdown is happening.
So I think before we go through this whole list of things, I mean, there are some specific.
We're not going to go through the whole list.
No. But even if we touch this, there are some pretty
so
specific
much.
things that have been happening that as a result of this furlough.
We actually have a really good problem of having so many lists of things that people are doing to help out that we have to pick and choose from it.
This is actually, I'm actually impressed. I knew it was a couple of places on this show, or on this city. I had no idea until I got the full list, and this is probably not even the full list.
When people are like,
there are a lot of other
DC sucks. It's like, you know what? You just you're not hanging around the right people, and you're not doing the right things. Yeah, you've been spending too much time on the fucking hill. How about that?
Even the museums are doing shit.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the main things that we should that just from our industry alone, that there have been this program that was started by Mess Hall, who else? 3 Stars, Atlas, DC Brow, and some other organizations.
And your wife has something going on as well, right?
Oh,
so they have this thing called
O'Connor.
what is it called? What'd you say? Pay it furloughed.
Yeah. It's like you pay some, and then I haven't been to the site. I don't want to speak
and so
to it.
if you just Google it, pay it furloughed, they basically you can buy the beers are $7.50. I think that's that's tax inclusive. So you can pay myself, any one of us could go on the website and pay for X amount of beers. And then
furloughed workers get a free beer.
Yeah.
It basically you're paying into a fund.
Right. So they can go and show their idea and
pick it up.
and they can get as many, you don't want to take advantage, but you can get as many beers as you want to from those locations. Currently I think there have been 3,200 upwards around there.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
According to NPR, they said as of this past Wednesday evening, more than 1,400 free beers were available to furloughed and unpaid workers.
More than that now.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot's happened since Wednesday.
A lot of people drink beer, and especially on the weekends.
Well, in DC, during the financial crisis in 2008, man, people still were out drinking.
I had a lot of people. Did anybody work last night?
I did. I made bank.
Sadly.
Yeah, I made bank.
Yeah. Same.
Shout out to Dangerous Pies.
Oh, are you on 8th Street too?
I'm a hired. I'm renegade
also-
bartender for
also-
hire.
1 a.m. all night.
On top of that, though, you have those bars who don't put out the advertisement. You know what I mean? Over at Wonderland, we were handing out free food. Jose Andreas has been giving out food boxes.
Yeah, the
You know what I mean?
the passenger has been
Nobel
letting
Prize.
furloughed
Right.
bar people come in and work the
Right.
And
bar.
work the bar, whole
Yeah,
9
that
yards. There's
chef
a
for
lot of
Fed's
bars.
thing.
There's a lot of bars, and I wish I had the information on how many there were. We had
You
the
There are a
time.
lot
need a
of
laptop.
them. The Capital
I got
Area
a
Food
laptop.
Bank.
What I'm saying-
They're doing 5 different pop-ups.
Will this be on your site later?
Yeah, we're going to post
We're gonna
links
share
to the
these things.
page if you guys are interested in, participating. If you are a furloughed worker within the sound of our voices and you need a little something, we're going to offer you this resource.
Also, any bar in the district who is doing something and you can hear our voices, let us know
Yeah.
so we can put
Yeah.
you on that
Yeah, hit
list
us up.
to be like, hey, you are doing something for the city.
So there's also an initiative that's been my friend actually went. She's a government employee, and she makes a decent amount of money. But currently, she has a kid that she's supporting. And they aren't getting paid right now.
1 in 10. That's how many. That's what is out of work.
Yeah,
Here.
so
I
there's
looked it
this-
up. It's really bad.
Yeah,
I mean-
so there's this initiative called Craft Now, Pay Later, and you go. They give you like 1 or 2 shopping bags, and it's all craft products. And it's essentially like a grocery store.
Oh, so
and you walk in and like you just fill up the bags, and then like you pay later. You pay as much as you can later when you actually get your paycheck.
And
you know what sucks about that? Honestly speaking, you know what sucks about that though?
What?
You know those grocery store programs or whatever? Like those programs where you go in and you prove that you can't afford XYZ.
like Wick or
You know what I mean? Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
And like there's those places you can go in, you can grocery shop and you show your card and you let them know that, XYZ is happening to me, and you have the ability to have a bit of dignity. And the fact that you have to do this with people who have jobs
I mean,
is
nobody
what makes it that much harder. And for the sheer fact that you want to do this because you want to build a wall. How many motherfuckers do you know that come into this goddamn city, come into DC, Texas, wherever the fuck you are, show up just like that? I apologize for cussing. But
No,
you
we're
show
just
up
trying
like
to keep
that.
it-
But
trying to keep it
you
positive.
You didn't show up. You didn't show up for that. You didn't show up crossing a border. You showed up on an airplane.
Yeah, I mean,
came into the Bay
I mean,
Area.
I get what you're saying. I understand you see people as fortunate, but this, in the same sense, this is part of the economy that's moving on and moving forward. We actually need. I mean, I know working in a restaurant, and I've actually seen and I could feel. I mean, you could see your bar customers going down a little bit. I know you mentioned it earlier at St. Arnold's. Could feel it.
I mean, we're fucked over there. Like the owner, one of the owners, Paul. He said in previous furloughs, St. Arnold's would get slammed because there are a lot of government employees who live in the Cleveland Park area, and they would come out. They'd come out and they'd eat and they'd drink, but like this is different because there's no end in sight.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They've
that's
just
exactly
come
what
off.
it is.
really saving.
They've just come off. You've just come off the holiday. Your bills for Christmas
For
have,
Christmas and
are
or
coming out.
your mortgage for your really super overpriced condo that you invested in. 'cause-
I mean, it's
Sure.
just a really bad time.
But
of the
like
year
I
in
think
general.
it's horrible, and like nobody has been coming in,
And I
and
think-
we're not the only ones in St.
No.
Arnold's. I mean,
They
across
said
that
up
entire strip,
60%. That is
Well,
what was that
from
watch
60
time?
to 80% decrease in.
and I think
I
it's
feel
just
sorry for
revenue.
the lunchtime crew too, like all the little like sandwich.
Oh, yeah, all the
shops.
sandwich
It's
shops.
they're not even open any other time.
Well,
of
and
the
then-
the
day.
food
Exactly.
truck,
Well,
exactly.
like
and
the
then-
vendors.
I mean,
Yeah, those little
the
guys.
Even
food,
without
the
the
food
furlough-
trucks aren't even. Yeah,
Even without the furlough, this is a very difficult time of year for
Yep.
every
Yeah,
single
without
small
the
business
furlough, yeah.
owner.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Right
yeah,
after
even without
Christmas?
it. Yeah, right after
It's-
Christmas
these
and
are
before
the slow
March.
months for
Right,
everything.
January, February.
Hospitality,
Not for pool
Historically.
restaurant.
Not for pool halls.
No.
I mean, because people. Well, pool halls are one of those
There's no-
places when you get
It's
depressed.
cold. Go down, hang out with your friends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
Do an
it's like
activity.
actually cool to like sit around and
Yeah,
But it's
And-
not
and
good
it's-
in the summer,
No.
like,
And it's
you don't
also
want that
cheap, though,
until
too.
it gets too hot.
But also outside of the feeding people and libations. Shout out to all the museums, government
Yeah.
employees that are staying open for tourists and stuff. Working without pay. The museum, the National Building Museum, even the
So
National
those-
Law Enforcement Museum.
So those are not government buildings.
Yeah,
They're not?
No,
they're
so
private.
They're private, but they're
museums.
giving.
They're still-
but
Still
they're-
giving out.
Okay,
That's
they're
still
they're
cool.
But
still
they're providing. They're for federal employees. They're giving discounts, or they're giving tickets out for free.
yeah.
It's actually
So-
more noble because they're trying to get people to pay for it with oh my God.
With Smithsonian.
Oh, I
Smithsonian.
cannot. I'm never gonna live that down.
Smithsonian.
They're always free, but like they're poor for profit, so
Yeah.
like
You know
it's
what?
nicer. That's
You
really
want to know what my
Right.
biggest issue is right now, though?
You have many.
February 1st. February 1st is when they're saying that the projection of Section 8 and people who get government assistance, like food stamps, so on and so forth. That's when that kicks in, as in like
Well, that's when
kicks
it
in,
runs
as in
out.
like
Runs
runs
out.
out.
I mean, what blows my mind, and you mentioned the wall and everything, and like, and it is for a wall, but ultimately it's just because this guy is a fucking crybaby, but we're doing this to our country and to our city as a whole, and it's just. But it's hurting the city of DC in general. It's not just hurting like the rest of the country. It's hurting us. It's hurting me. It's hurting you. It's hurting you, Boo.
There's not a single person in this room that isn't affected
Yeah.
by what's going on.
Right.
It's
Whether
it's
you work
hit
for the
our-
government or not.
It's hit the
Ripples.
city's economy more so than other cities or states in the nation because we have such a high concentration of federal employees here, and so like businesses, not just the restaurant industry, like other businesses that rely on those federal
Retail in
employees
general, I'm
to
sure.
be
Retail
going
too.
out.
Yeah, there's retail.
You know,
and,
Yeah.
just
you know,
even to be at
car
work.
rentals.
You know, I mean, places are even for lunch. Like, think about all those businesses that are right around the Capitol by those federal buildings.
That's where I go to
that like
school.
none of
Shout out to
their
K Street.
yeah, like none of their employees or fewer of their employees are going in. So then there are places that are not, that they rely on those people for their revenue, and they
The
don't.
valets looked really bored. This
Oh,
year.
the valets.
They
I
looked
guess,
so
yeah.
bored. They're just like.
I mean, what did they do? I
fidget
mean, they
spinner,
shit.
Like,
A lot of swiping.
A lot of swiping. So that's good. Like I said, man, to end this one, it makes me feel really good to be in DC, to know everybody's doing this. And like I said, we'll put a list of the great restaurants in this greater DC area who are doing this.
We should
Yeah.
just copy and paste this whole
That's
crazy
what I'm. Yeah,
list.
I'm just going to copy and paste.
It's
this.
a big, beautiful list of good deeds.
Yeah.
Good-hearted
there's other
deeds.
places too. You mentioned O'Connor earlier.
Yes.
They're a Norfolk beer, but there's a lot of government employees because there's Army and just other things that affected. So I think that while DC is, I think there's probably like, I wouldn't be surprised if Dogfish Head or, it's beyond the DMV. Everyone is kind of coming together. I think it's touching.
I mean, it's touching.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to know if, like, across the country, if they're doing something like this. I mean, I'm sure they are.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I mean,
They
you
are.
got,
It's just,
you
I
got
think-
people volunteering to pick up trash at Joshua Tree National Park, et cetera.
Right.
Like
Or like even like for free man the site because there are people who are going in trashing the.
And if you're
Yeah,
trashing
the
something doing
trees,
this,
as
you're
they
Right.
were talking about in Joshua
Yeah.
Tree.
Also, have y'all been by the monuments lately?
oh,
It looks-
DC government's picking up trash for for the feds.
But I know,
Are they
but like,
really?
I
Past
hope they're
past that-
charging premium dollar for that.
Not for
I
nothing. You
thought
can go
about
down
them
there.
during
If
the
you go
Women's
down there on the
March.
wrong day, it is disgusting.
Can you volunteer?
Like-
Do you know anywhere you can volunteer for these things?
You mean show up with some trash bags and just start
You-
picking
you
up
also have-
trash?
you also
I
have
don't
to
think you
remember-
really need to like.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You could literally take the metro
Put it in your
with
pocket.
a box of fucking trash bags
So take that into
Then
consideration.
where are you going to
I
put
do
the
that at
bag
Fort
of
Davis.
trash?
next to the
Right.
trash cans, and then the DC
Just
government will
bag.
come along and take it away.
And here's the thing: eventually they'll come along.
Hey,
The
you know
process
what?
Better
is
to
the
know
process.
that.
DC
Better than
trash is
nothing.
still
No.
running.
They'll get
This
that.
is
Yeah,
one of those
well,
things-
that's local government.
This
That's
is
Get
one of
that
those.
bill, though,
This is
later.
one of those things I've come to realize that if you really wanted something to pass,
Draw a dick on.
start fucking. Start fucking around. Start fucking around with like waste management or whatever.
Are you saying we should dump trash on the steps of politicians'
No,
places?
no,
until
look.
they
I'm
reopen
not
the
saying we have
government?
to go all Ronald Reagan.
I
Oh, I don't
kinda
like
am.
broccoli, and we can just drop broccoli on.
How about we
the
go all
fucking
Ronald
steps of
McDonald on
the
them?
White House or whatever? But
Fun
what I am
fact.
saying is, like, if you go on the wrong day and there's not,
There's a
there
lot of
haven't been a
trash.
bunch of people there volunteering or whatever like that. You go look at those trash bags, and you go look at the National Mall. You go look at the
seen it.
Sorry.
What you think?
No,
The
it's
Lincoln
disproportionately-
Monument and all that other stuff, whatever like that. As pretty as it used to be, it's not that pretty
It makes you
anymore.
forget or not realize how much we actually clean. Molly, you had a fun fact?
Yeah, fun fact. The two richest men in the 80s in Washington, D.C. were Rayful Edmonds and the guy who ran the waste management services.
Shout out to Rayful Evans.
I'm gonna
Is that
go
the
out
plot
on a
of
limb,
Sopranos?
and maybe it's just because I've watched too many episodes of The Sopranos. But for some reason, whenever I hear waste management, I always
Those two names connected?
You know,
might
I
have
mean, I
something
just
to
always
do
think
there.
there's a little
I
something
look
extra going on. They're
as
just
somebody
picking
who
up the trash.
I
as
always
somebody
heard
who's
about
from a
produce
mafia city.
companies
Let me
in
tell you
Detroit.
right now.
Where you from,
They
Jamie?
move stuff.
Watch your mouth.
I'm sorry, Corey.
Wait, pause.
Whoa, whoa,
wait,
no,
wait,
no, no,
wait.
no, stop, Corey.
That
What were you
joke
saying?
that joke only counts when I mention it.
All right, sorry, Corey. What did you say?
Oh, I've heard that about like just mafia ties to waste management, but also about produce companies.
Produce
Really?
companies.
In
That I've
Detroit,
never
I
heard.
worked in Detroit, and I'd always
Anything-
heard that they run real deep, and they're just like, "This is the family."
I
Any
believe it.
any job where you need to
Cash
buy
money.
heavy machinery and a lot of cash.
Yeah, they
you know,
move things around the city.
moving
quickly.
things. Yeah, it's an excellent cover. Allegedly.
So very quickly, you were talking about how can you volunteer for the Jose Andres, who's doing the kitchen until the furlough is over. If you do want to volunteer with the kitchen, like you can help with giving food out or helping to prepare the food. It's chefforfeds@wck.org.
Oh, and lastly, before we
I'll put that
wrap
on
this
DI
segment up,
too, for District of Misfits.
shout out to Bread for the City, also
Yeah.
joining the fight on the front lines of helping everybody out that's going through the shutdown. So
This was fun. This is gonna be fun.
yeah, I had mentioned. Well, anyways, on to a new segment
I know
that we affectionately like to call "You Had One Job." I'm sure most of you have heard by now about President Scrotus treating the Clemson Tigers to a fantastic smorgasbord of the finest lukewarm fast food goodness that the Washington D.C. metropolitan area has to offer. Shout out to the Wendy's on New York Avenue.
God, I hope for
I
the love
pray.
of God they got it from
The
that
The best
Wendy's
tweet that I
circle.
saw in reference to that is, if it came from the Wendy's on New York Avenue, I have questions.
Dude, that place is
Talking about
fucking
Wendy's
worst.
Island.
Yeah, Wendy's Island.
That's the worst
Wendy's
circle. Wendy's
Island.
circle.
The island of lost souls.
Honestly speaking, you know what made that entire scenario that much funnier?
Adrian Fenty.
No. My man from Migos being like, yo, seriously, bruh, you a billionaire. And your whole entire thought was, with all these local restaurants in D.C., to go to Wendy's, Burger King, and McDonald's and feed these champions.
I got
These-
two.
These
Is it mad
dollar,
that I wouldn't
these
have cared
dollar.
if it was
I got 2
Alabama?
points. I got 2 points I want to make. The first one is that I could imagine he's the kind of dude that never played any sports.
He's fat
But
as fuck.
imagine
Of course
like,
he
oh,
is.
I could think that, I could do that, and I imagine that this is the spread that he would have wanted had he been a football player.
Here's the-
and
I don't understand
not
why he
knowing,
used Trump
not
Tower.
knowing,
He
not
has
knowing
chefs
that.
on, like,
Yeah,
right
not,
there.
and not
Yes,
knowing,
right
and
there.
not knowing that. Have you seen the food that these guys get at school?
Bruh.
It is complete. They get all the goods, all the fruits, all the veggies, like real legit
Also-
5-star,
They're-
stuff. And then secondly, my second point is, you have a hotel
Right down the
blocks
street.
away and an entire staff that
You got
you could
chefs.
force to cater
Yeah.
this event.
He might be in some
Also on some real shit. On some real shit.
He might be in some emoluments. Yeah, you think? You think?
Maybe that caught up to him a little
Screw
bit.
that. Have y'all had fast food in the South? Have y'all been to Popeyes in
He didn't get
Louisiana?
I used to live in New
Bojangles, though.
Orleans.
He
I
did.
feel like going to Popeyes in Louisiana is
Popeyes in
redundant.
Louisiana ain't Popeyes nowhere else.
So my first meal in New Orleans was at a Popeyes, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Marcus, you about to
You
be
wanna
mad.
know something?
You about to be mad as shit at
Mine
me
too.
if the first
God,
thing
this
that
is
y'all, if the first
I had
thing
my
y'all
pick of all
ate
these
in
places.
fucking Louisiana was Popeyes, y'all fucked up.
It was a really long
I
drive.
was
and don't judge me.
21.
Yeah, I was like 23.
21 had $5 in my pocket at the time.
Yeah,
I
same
fucking
here.
hate some
I went
fried
and I
chicken.
went on a
Yikes.
whim too. Like, yeah, it was some total like.
I just moved into the Garden District. I saw Popeyes right down the street. I'm like, fuck, I know what Popeyes is.
When in doubt, go with the familiar.
So
What's
I
the
went
best
there.
fried chicken in
Screw that
DC?
bullshit.
Best fried
DC.
chicken in DC.
Yeah, that like you can get quickly, not like
Best carry out in DC is Jerry's across from Howard University Hospital.
Crown's Fried Chicken on 8th Street.
I will
Yeah,
put my
I'ma go with-
Jerry's.
I'ma
I will
go-
put my Jerry's up against Crown because Crown is New York. That's that New
fist
York.
Fight.
Hand in the video.
I will
You know?
fist.
Oh,
I
sorry.
will fight all of y'all in Mortal Kombat.
My bad.
Ho Chi.
Ho Chi. What you call me?
Where's Ho Chi at?
Howard, China, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what?
HU's campus, anybody who's from out of the district who comes to fucking Howard has to understand the first spot you get carry out, and the first time you hear the word carry out, you going to Ho Chi.
Nah.
I'm gonna say a really uppity answer, which is shout out to Sally's middle name.
Really? Hold
over
on, really?
H
Is that
Street.
good?
Once
That's-
a week they do a fried chicken that you can get, and then you get
What?
a biscuit that you do not need butter with.
What?
I do
It's
appreciate.
okay on its own at the end of a shift.
Where
on
is
camera,
this?
Put it in
Marcus.
your mouth. It's on H Street. It's on H Street. I know from when I work at Whiskey's. So
Everybody
I
calm
think on
down.
Wednesdays only they
Calm
do it,
down.
but it's perfect. They give you a potato salad. You can order an extra biscuit.
Can we go?
Biscuit.
People are like,
I wish it was here right now. I can't lie.
Take me to
best
I'm
fried
honest-
chicken.
I'm
God
not-
damn it.
I've honestly never eaten there, but I will say Crown's Chicken. I will take that up any day of the week.
I don't know, man. I
I'm-
will put Jerry's up against it, man.
Well, see, me and Molly are
Because it's just good old fashioned curry out.
Curry.
Team
You know
Trinidad.
You know
Korea.
what I'm saying?
I'm telling you, man.
Straight up.
Big shout out to Eddie Leonard's.
Oh, damn, son.
Right, y'all down for that, right?
You know, I when I want an Italian cold cut at 2 in the morning.
I don't need that back. So my
That's
thing
where I'm
is,
going.
this guy is.
Pass the notes, you weirdos.
I don't need it back.
Do you like him? Yes or no? Check one.
Do you guys know how the White House staff works? I read this book
How-
called Upstairs at the White House, and it had the it was basically the biography of the guy that ran all the events through 5 administrations. So
I wish we
beginning of
could
the
get somebody like
Eisenhower,
that on here.
right? I don't know what happened to that guy. My mom gave me this book. She's a political science geek, and he basically served from Eisenhower through Kennedy. So when I look at that picture of Clemson, and is it bad that if it happened to Alabama, I wouldn't have been so mad? But I feel like they've won so many times. Like, Clemson hasn't been before, right?
No, this is their second time in like 3 years.
Oh.
And third overall.
Well, still,
Second
I just
time
felt
beating
like those
Alabama.
guys.
At that.
I just felt like those guys, like, really, I don't have any
I mean,
feelings, but like that's a big deal to them.
I think they should have
They
rescheduled
probably
it
thought it was
until
a
after the
joke.
shutdown was done.
Yeah, I don't see any
That's
reason why.
I-
You know,
I
like
agree.
it postpone. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, don't go. You know, if you want to go to the
Yeah.
White House after your team
And
wins a
also,
championship, that's your prerogative.
How
But
many of those guys have never been to DC?
they should have waited. They should have postponed it until the shutdown was over, so that way the guys could get the full experience of
Washington,
Yeah.
of DC
And then
as we know it.
in this
You know,
picture, like they talk about the
Clemson
Lincoln
is also- Clemson
bowls that are
also-
holding the food.
Clemson also takes a lot of DC locals.
That did do. I actually read that they had a lot of DC local
Yeah.
college local kids at their school.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I had a bias against them for a while. I used to work in a print shop, and my manager had a very serious mullet and went to Clemson and
Yikes.
wore acid wash jeans like he was getting paid for them, and white Reeboks. And there's just something about him.
what year is it?
1993.
Well, it's kind of close still to the mullet.
He had
days.
he had like it was like the Wayne mullet, not the Garth mullet.
It's funny what you hold against teams, though, right? I went
Oh.
to Nationals Park one year, and I hate Phillies fans because of it.
Well, that's
I-
not why you hate Phillies fans.
Oh, I do.
No
I
offense.
hate them.
No offense to you. No offense to you.
I don't hate Philadelphia.
I have definitely made an
Lovely
Eagles
city.
fan cry on more than one occasion.
Not this one, though.
Not yet, baby.
I was working in the President's Club, and there were $600 seats, and then the $200 seats were throwing their entire free food onto the other
Oh, that is
downstairs,
some.
and it just like was so unnecessary. Like I never seen anything like it. Like first of all, you both get free food. You're both very spoiled in the like universe that is the baseball tickets. This is like the
It's
best.
like
and the
it's always
second
sunny,
best.
but for rich kids from Philly.
Yeah, but like these are grown ass adults that are just like throwing things over the. So that's why I don't like Phillies fans from that one experience. But
And I
don't
mean,
care about the
baseball is
Eagles.
supposed to be
Eagles are
more
fine.
civilized, you know.
Until
Baseball,
you-
baseball.
until you get drunk.
Oh, well, or unless you
I
go
assume
to a game with
alcohol was
Matt
involved
Berger.
from that story. Yeah.
Speaking about it, so So my other thing
Shout out
was
to Matt Berger.
So my one thing is like with Trump, he said he spent his own money on all this stuff. I'm like, and what you said earlier.
How much do you think that? How much do you think all that cost? Really, $500?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe
Well, I bet
$500
it's a couple
Maybe-
Fast food's expensive.
No, it's not.
All right, cool. How
Compared
about
to,
this?
like, what
you
it
get
actually
a
costs
thousand.
to
You
make
get a
it.
thousand double
I'm gonna guess
cheeseburgers or whatever
Are we
like
doing
that.
prices
$1,000.
right?
$1,000.
$1,000.
Also, you go to in DC, it's another 10%. So he spent $1,100.
I'm gonna guess 3.
And he's a
Yeah.
billionaire.
And
3,000.
you know
And
what?
and he's a billionaire. I can guarantee that's a write-off no matter what. You cannot.
Even
Yeah. Trump eats McDonald's all the time.
I don't understand why
Trump
the White
has
House
like
staff
a
do
Yeah, that was all about
he has
him.
a free McDonald's pass. Like he probably just gives them like $1 million a year because like when he's on his presidential plane, he's eating fucking McDonald's.
And he-
Like, that's his fucking
And
meal
the-
of choice is McDonald's.
I mean, the thing is
Don't be
that he
fooled.
was like so. You could see him, like he was so proud of the fact that he was giving these kids like all this fast food, like all
And don't
that
forget
food,
the candles. Hey, why don't you?
I was gonna raise.
I need you to light some
candles.
candles for
But,
these
like,
kids.
all that food. By the time they arrived, it was cold. Like there weren't.
fast
It
food.
wasn't even like they were on like in heating things or anything.
No
you know,
way.
there was no
Fast
warming
food
ramp.
becomes
Oh, wait,
lamps
wait, wait,
so
wait.
quickly
Let's
and
make it even worse. They served it on Lincoln-era silverware and flatware.
Did they really?
Which made that picture of Lincoln behind him even
Did they? I
sweeter
didn't
because
even
he
know
just
that.
yeah.
But that was the I was coming back because imagine you're that staff member that has been there for so long and you have to do this.
Right.
Well, it's like they were
And
trying to keep
unfurloughed.
us.
artifact with
Unfurloughed.
McDonald's on it. The cold McDonald's, that cold fries. Fries.
I mean, how
become
long was that
good
food
so
sitting
fast.
there? How
Right.
So long.
And then
yes.
to sit there and say like, "Oh, they love this food. They love it. They eat a
No,
lot
they
of
probably
food."
felt obligated. Wouldn't you
Right.
feel obligated? The president of the United States is just creepily staring at you, like,
Well,
"Are you going to eat that?"
Are you gonna eat that?
I feel I like how like
Do you want me to put those
Are you
fries in the
gonna eat that?
microwave?
wasn't it was it
You gonna
Burger
eat that?
What was it? Didn't Burger King and them troll him for
Yeah.
misspelling
Oh, yeah.
hamburger?
Oh, Shout out
'cause
to
he
Burger
spelt-
King.
He spelt it hamburger.
Hamburger.
Spell
He's
check,
the
motherfuckers.
Hamburglar.
Spell
Okay.
check.
All right.
Yo,
you know
this
what?
is the guy that had a hamburger with a cup of caffe. Like he thought he got away from
Confifi.
that.
License plate
Confifi.
once in DC with that.
And let me tell you,
This is
you want to
vanity
talk about
plate.
tweets that age well? That shit is #1 with a bullet for like some shit that came out like a year ago.
I hate to be
Confifi.
devil's advocate.
Oh Lord,
Let's play this game, okay?
you got 7 seconds.
How many times have y'all sent out a text message and it ain't been spelled right?
But
Oh.
but it ain't we need the
Yeah,
president.
but I'm
We're
also
not-
not
yeah.
the president of the United
And it's
States.
not at 4 in the
That's
morning
How-
when
Why
you know
is he even
people
doing
have.
Screw that.
himself?
How many times have y'all been like, duck this shit?
Oh, my phone knows me.
Exactly.
My phone says fuck now when I put duck. It's a duck comfy. It's like fuck comfy. Sweet, give me that shit.
Yeah, so the Burger King what they said was, hold on, let me see where.
Take your time, baby. Take your time.
Are you trolling us over there?
Steady troll.
So Burger King on their Twitter, they say, due to a large order placed yesterday, we're all out of hamburgers. Just serving hamburgers today.
Not all out of hamburgers. Say it like it's spelled.
I
Hamburgers.
did. I said hamburgers.
I just can't believe
Hamburgers
they don't have with all
were
the
just
actual Nazis
serving
in the house, I
hamburgers
can't believe
today.
they don't have a grammar Nazi.
They don't have a grammar Nazi.
Like they have all the other types of Nazis.
Yo,
They don't have one
shots
that
fired
you
by
know
Corey. It's up and it's good.
It's
You
right
see,
there.
so you are a stand-up comedian. Look at you.
You
still-
lied. You
still-
told us. You told us you weren't. But
I did that a
So
few times in college.
How many times? 7?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
How many
did
times does it take to do
dollar
comedy before you're
PBRs and
considered a
amazing.
comedian?
1? Well,
Probably
that's
more.
not true.
All right. Having
No
never
matter
done
what the answer is more.
having never done stand up before, I would be willing to pose this question. If you do comedy and you bomb, but
Does
you
that
still
make you a
keep coming back, does that make you a comedian?
Yeah, it's
Makes
the
you a
way
bad
you
one.
rush against. Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest crowd I ever performed for was I was just a host of our there was talent that came. I remember Jody Messina because I went to school in
Jody Messina.
45 minutes north
Jody
in Michigan,
Messina.
like
Google
the
that.
snow
Yo.
belt. And I just remember that I exaggerated the amount of millions of records that she sold, sort of like not purposefully, but I wasn't very concerned. So I walked out and I was like, 43 million sold, and it was like 43.
Just 43.
But was she?
No, I was like 43.
But was she funny?
But she was good. She sang that 2 songs everyone I knew really well.
I don't
She was very nice, but it was just that I remember thinking that I have a real microphone, I might actually be this thing, and then I
No
never
shit.
did it again. So
You get a microphone in front of your face, you think you just talk about everything in life.
You know,
Sometimes,
you're
it
either
feels familiar.
you either rock the mic or the mic rocks you, man.
I mean, it depends how you look at it. But
It's too
I
early to tell.
Does it, Marcus? Does it, Marcus? Does it depend on how you look at it?
it depends. I was gonna say about
depends.
shitty comedians, like how many times you go on stage. But
Shit,
whatever.
speaking of comedians, does it depend on how you look at it?
Depends on what you're thinking about. Depends what
I worked
All
a
right.
comedy show at Wonderland one time, and
At band camp.
this girl set up this joke for 5 minutes, and complete silence, and then she ended
Like-
it, and did the last line or whatever, and then
Like?
looked at everybody like this, and
Did she drop the mic like this?
No, 10 seconds of
Like it was hot?
10 seconds of trauma time quiet. I pissed myself laughing.
So maybe she was
Ain't
going.
nobody else laughed.
in your depends.
Right, ain't nobody else laughing. I'm dying laughing. And
But
the
was
host,
she going for that?
No, that's not what she was going for. When she
Awesome.
dropped that last line, she was like, "Oh, everyone's gonna die laughing."
It's a new
or
genre,
whatever.
tinkle
and
humor.
then nobody died laughing, and I died.
Oh, you're speaking
It's
of
dead
dies.
humor.
Hold up. You're speaking of bad comedians. What happened the other night?
Oh no, dude! I don't want to do
Yes,
this, man.
I will.
Was he not a guest? Should
No,
we
he
really-
was a guest.
But he bombed the
He was
first
like-
time, and he did find a second time.
I mean, first of all, in his defense, when he was on the show, we fucking destroyed him, dude. This was back in the old space where we could smoke weed while we did the show, and what? It's decriminalized, man. Get out of my face.
Crawl out of my ass. Watch your mouth.
depends.
Crawl out of your what?
Anyway, so this
So
guy,
anyways, yeah,
this
so
guy
this
wasn't
dude-
good the first time. He was kind of okay the second time.
He was good for the first half, and then all of a sudden he just petered out. But
The second show, yeah.
he first of all, I like the idea on paper, but bands
I just
that
like his
have
last name.
bands that have stand-up comedians as opening acts, it's kind of like
But
it's
he's
a weird
in a band,
mix.
though. Was
What
he
type
the
of band?
He is
It
in a
was a
band.
punk band.
No, it was kind of indie rock.
Loud?
Is it indie rock?
Indie rock, yeah.
All right, so I
What
have
type
less
of
respect for
guitar?
him.
Acoustic?
We're talking no, like something you'd see at like Black Hat, like
But I totally have less
weird.
respect for this guy now. I thought he was in a punk band.
But my only issue was that he was
his
half.
comedy also punk.
No, he was just straight telling jokes, but
Like
he
if
was
Andrew
half
Dice
reading.
Clay came out. and
He
did,
didn't
like-
have his set memorized.
But
Was my
he's-
biggest issue. He didn't have his set memorized, which means he didn't have
That's
his
bad.
timing down, which means and also when half the time you're turning and looking at a piece of paper off to the side or you're whatever, you know what I mean? Like it
It's hard
it
to
transfers.
watch.
He's
I
one of
used to
those
work in this
guys.
gay
He's,
bar that had a lot of like feel yourself poetry,
Oh.
and it was just.
how do I
it
feel?
hurt a lot.
How do I feel about that?
Hashtag feel yourself.
No, just like
That's my
this is
favorite.
how
One of
I'm
my favorite
feeling at this
videos.
moment.
Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm sorry. She
That's
was
my
just
fault.
like, that's how feel yourself. Like, this is how I'm feeling in this moment, and I'm sharing it with you. And I just like feel what they're feeling in that moment too much. Like
Too much.
Like it would hurt me to watch.
I was kind of like vicariously just like cringing for him. Like I mean,
Sure,
I
send me a
talks about
video.
that.
no, I was behind the bar. I was working, and
were
I try to be.
Stop lying. You were working.
Oh, dude, you ain't never seen me at work.
So is that a new gig? Are you behind the bar there? Before?
I am a renegade bartender for hire while stagehand season is slow and low. But if they'll have me on a regular basis, I'd be happy to be there. Shout out to Dangerous Pies over on H Street.
Boo's actually talking big shit
Get your
right
sweet,
now.
get your savory,
Sorry,
get some
Boo's
quiche.
actually talking himself down right now. Like when I say like I met Boo first week back in DC, and then like it was just like, oh, you know Boo, oh my god, or whatever. Boo
Nobody
the shit.
loves me.
Boo the shit.
Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me.
Literally everybody I talk to
Everybody.
in DC.
I'm gonna go eat
whenever
worms.
whenever I say, oh
Everybody.
yeah, I'm on this podcast. I have this podcast with, Marcus and Jamie and Boo, and
fuck out
people
who
are
I
like,
am.
you know Boo, I know Boo.
You should make a sticker.
That's
Do
funny
you
because
know
whenever
Boo?
Do you
I'm
know
like,
Boo?
whenever I do a podcast and I'm like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and they're like, oh, you know Marcus.
Ooh, Marcus just fucked up.
No, that's our timer.
Watch him out.
No, we don't do penalty shots anymore.
So what I was gonna segue when she says I feel myself, I was gonna say, wait, what?
Wait, what?
My favorite porn on Pornhub is
Wait, what?
I feel myself.
Oh man. Oh, and
Yours
that's-
too?
No, but I'll throw it on the list. So yeah, new segment that we are introducing to you guys called Wait What?
Wait, what?
That's how we got to do it. We got to do it with the
Wait,
wait.
what?
Yeah, we got to
we
get
can't-
high on that.
You're all
Gotta get
instantly good at
high on the
Wait,
what?
We can't do my favorite segment of porn or
Your
whatever,
favorite-
which is basically like feet and anime.
What?
Feet
And
and
anime?
anime.
That's not a.
I
That's
don't
not
And
think we should
gravy.
get to
Hold on, you
go
jerk off
feet
to anime?
either.
How is that real? I mean, how do you get off on that? I mean, it's not even real.
Dude,
Marcus
that is
said
so
that
another
you-
episode. Don't go down this rabbit hole now, my
you ain't-
man.
You ain't never seen
Don't do
something,
it.
You ain't never seen something weird and been like, yeah, I could jerk off to that.
Yo, that graphic is awesome.
The corner of the wall.
Yo, okay, yo. So,
Gay chicken.
Oh, can we get this really fast?
They're proud peoples. Like, they're
Okay.
proud chicken too. Gay
Yeah.
and proud. They're
who's
really
camera?
showing it.
Yeah, throw me that. I got my own.
Yeah, that's
camera.
actually best.
Or whatever. I'll put this in front of my face as I take a sip.
All right, but before we get all hung up on that, like I really this story just is amazing. So, when people don't have to work, they got a lot of time on their hands.
What are they gonna do?
You know, this is a city with a lot of single people, and maybe yo, I bet you Tinder's on overload right now.
Or
know,
grinder. Or
motherfuckers-
grinder.
And according to a story by WJLA.com, porn viewership has spiked in D.C. amid the partial government shutdown.
Big fucking surprise there.
So if
mean,
you
I-
can't love the one you're with,
You might as well
Love
love
yourself.
yourself.
I mean, I know I helped this out, but it had nothing to do with the furlough.
Go back to where you were.
Oh,
you
God.
did this.
Son.
Marcus, I got a question for you,
Oh,
bro.
God.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see. According to this, Pornhub's peak traffic period across the United States is typically between the hours of 10 p.m. to midnight. But after the shutdown began, late night traffic increased above average. While early morning traffic on the website
DC needs to stay up late.
is between 9 a.m. to 10
Go to bed
9 a.m. to
too
10
early.
a.m. Oh, that had the smallest change. So basically, every other window
Daytime,
of traffic
motherfucker.
that they had, like, yeah,
Don't order in Domino's and jerking off.
Well,
That's
because
what they're
between
doing.
9 a.m. and 10 a.m. they're still asleep because they were out drinking the night before because they don't have to work. You know?
And then, unlike Jamie, they're not too hungover to jerk off.
First world problems.
What I'm saying is, and here's my question, Marcus. You ain't.
I don't like midget porn now.
You ain't. Look, I ain't say nothing about midget porn or whatever.
That's
And
a
big
slur.
Big shout
Little
out to
people porn.
Little people
Is it
porn.
little
big,
people
big
porn?
shout out to anybody who's jerked off with some weird shit like midget porn or whatever.
Oh, and in addition,
what I'm saying is,
Do not raise your hand.
Marcus, you gonna sit here and tell me that you ain't never jerked off to some weird shit?
No, of course
Like
I have.
I'm talking like bust that nut and then realize you were like, oh my
my God.
God. Like two,
Please erase my history.
like two amputees and a goat.
No.
Oh, why'd I do that? Jesus.
What?
Okay.
and lastly on this, as far as this article is concerned, it says that in addition that viewership is up nationally
Of course it is.
as well. So and again, it's the ripple effects.
Motherfuckers are broke.
It's also just cold outside.
People have
though.
nothing to do.
Like, is that?
What are
Too
they
cold-
gonna do?
too cold to jerk off in
pause.
public.
Guys.
It's too cold to jerk off in public, man.
Guys. This
The voice of reason.
This person right here, this beautiful young lady actually just said
Hashtag.
something very genius. And say it again, please.
It's cold. Just stay inside.
Yeah, that's
There's
what,
just
and
more
I
to
was.
do inside.
So what's the numbers against last year this time? That's what we need to
Well,
find out.
Let's see. It's been an increase of 6.32% overall.
What's
well,
funny
during
is
the
what
week of
if-
January 7th to the 11th,
What if the
as compared to pre-shutdown averages.
What if the management is just bragging about themselves? That's what I always
the
read
good
when
thing
I
about-
like, oh, we're up this.
Well,
But
no,
like
the-
they need.
Well, how
press.
come XTube isn't doing the same thing?
Well, no, this is what I like
Or
about
YouPorn,
This is what's good about. This
or-
is what's
Hey,
good
hey,
about Pornhub.
any of
They
the other-
actually-
any of the other websites I may
free
allegedly
websites,
know
Let's
about.
not name them because we want to keep
We're not.
them free.
Oh yeah.
Well, but
Yeah,
Pornhub.
that's-
Here's the thing. I'm going to name them because whatever.
they're in the article.
They actually really do good when it comes to like stats and statistics.
Do they?
No, I
The
actually,
analytics is on point. Is what
No,
you're saying?
actually,
They're on fleek.
Yes,
is that
they
is that
are.
what the kids are still
Actually-
saying?
You guys
actually,
realize
there's a
how
site-
big.
A year ago.
actually, this is
You
not
so
for-
2008.
There's actually part like instead of looking at the categories of porn, there's actually a section that will give you stats. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Fuck it.
Dude, we need a segment called Porn Analytics. I feel like
Done.
No, we do not, because I don't need Marcus showing up with like a Popeye-sized forearm.
If I don't have it now, I'm not getting it.
Yeah, but
You'd
the
be
thing
surprised.
is that okay, so this is actually user experience design. What I'm going to school for, oddly
Ooh.
enough. When you take the data and then you decide where
Insights.
things go based on things.
Boom,
so
there it is.
If this is
say it again. Government shutdown leads to Pornhub traffic increase.
But there's a whole thing of
But that's
insights.
their site.
well, you gotta
That's,
think about it in categories though, and so
I'm scared to know what the most popular thing that
no,
people
but
are watching
how
is
do
right
they
now.
have it divided, right? Because if they're dividing it by like type or how
Male
long you're-
versus-
sure, but also probably how long you're
How long you're on there
that
for?
Video. There's videos that are better at it than others.
So I'm not gonna
It
admit
takes a shorter amount of time.
I'm not gonna
sometimes.
admit how I found this out today.
Damn it all.
It just so happens that we are talking about this subject. Top 3 categories in porn, ladies and gentlemen,
Oh.
in 2018. MILF,
That's boring.
pregnant,
Depends, Marcus.
That's gross.
pregnant.
Hey,
And
pregnant
guess
women are
wait. I'm gonna
beautiful.
ask all 4 of you guys. Guess what number
Be
3
nice to
is?
don't
them.
even know.
They're doing a
Guess
lot.
what number 3 is for the
What's
I-
number 3?
No, I'm
Lesbian.
asking you. Guess
Allegedly.
what number 3 is?
Number
I'm
3 is
surprised-
incest.
Lesbian.
There's all that
No,
nasty
no,
step.
No.
Has to be
Sis.
lesbian.
Boo. You're saying lesbian?
No, I'm saying lesbian.
Stop
Oh,
kicking your camera. Sorry. What is the?
Hey, Val. Number 3.
Asian.
Threesomes?
Asian.
Look,
he said Val.
nasty. You bastard.
That's racist.
You bastard.
So what's number 3?
Let's go. Let's keep going. What do you think number 3 is?
Oh, it's not Asians?
Gangbang.
It's not gangbang. It's not
guessing.
gangbang. It's not gangbang. Marcus.
Is it not gangbang?
I just said that.
Is it midget porn?
I'm going with lesbian. I don't care.
Is it little people
Oh,
porn?
why didn't I pick that?
Trans.
He's already
Is it
said
vertically
Trans?
challenged porn?
Interesting.
Trans is number 3.
Oh, that should. Yeah. Of
I
course.
get that
Of
one. I
course
get
it
that.
is.
Trans is
I figured
number
lesbian
3.
be number 1.
Yeah, but
Actually.
it's not a real lesbian though.
I know
Yeah.
I know it's not real lesbian. I get that.
I mean, like nobody's sitting around like. Oh,
I mean, I'm not a
like-
lesbian, and I'm like, those aren't real lesbians.
Boy, I'm just talking about the
They don't
categories.
really do
I'm
it
just
like
saying,
that.
porn versus reality type situation or whatever. Like nobody's
So there's
like
that.
There's a
nobody's
new-
like Lil Wayne. And
There's a new net. I fell asleep watching Netflix, and it was on
Pornhub?
autoplay, and I woke up, and it was in the middle of some new comedy series that was on my queue. I didn't have a
Sex
chance to watch,
education.
but this comedian who kind of was like going on about proper pronouns, so I'm not even sure really how to address them. But one of the
probably have a lot of
things,
those answers.
one of the things is they were talking about lesbian porn, and they were like, "Let me tell you some shit that I'm just paraphrasing that doesn't happen," and like they go into the whole goes into this whole thing about scissoring and like how
Mostly
that's
all
just
of
like
it.
That shit looks
You
painful.
know.
Mostly
is that
all of it.
painful?
it
Why are
seems
you
like
looking at me?
it's like two knuckles, kind of like you know,
know.
like
Why would
why would
that
that
be
feel
bad?
good?
It's just ahead of
Why
me.
would that? Well,
What I mean, who knows?
I mean,
Look,
Wait,
you know what?
wait, nope,
Yeah,
nope,
you know
nope.
what? You know what? This is a whole nother
Everybody-
episode. This is a whole
Everybody be
nother
quiet
episode.
before we fuck up. Everybody shut the fuck up and change subjects.
I mean,
Okay.
we have a lesbian right here.
I mean,
That's
we
what I'm
were
saying.
about
That's what I'm saying.
we were about
No,
to get the
no,
fucking
no,
straight dope.
No, what I'm saying is,
Oh,
what I'm saying
shit.
is
So
that
let's just
Marcus
start
has
with-
a capability of asking a stupid ass fucking dumb
Marcus.
question.
is that true?
Oh, I do, but I've been kind of calm this show.
Oh,
Concussion.
Yes. So scissoring.
Yeah. So mad. I just didn't think this would come up, but yeah. So I don't know why I would feel bad. We'll start there, but I also think
I mean,
that's
friction.
not even close to the least
Pelvic.
authentic thing that's in there. There's like let me just say this that. And again, I can't believe I'm saying this on the internet, but
get
the
you.
minute someone spits,
Oh my
so
God! You just
unnecessary.
totally took the words right out of my brain.
Like, there's like a lot of things that are inauthentic about porn, but like the scissoring, like everyone likes to rub things differently.
I made that
always.
mistake one
like,
time.
No matter just like
It almost ruined
there's
the
a lot
night.
of different variations of things. But that's not even close to like the most inauthentic thing. And
Did
I
you just spit on me?
So what is the most
Right.
un-
You don't ever want to be asked that question.
I think that is.
Before
Because
y'all-
if you're not,
You
don't
don't
really
wanna
need
ever-
that.
Yeah.
You don't need that.
I mean, I've been spit on before.
No, but I mean, with
Before
consent
y'all
though,
finish
you were
this
cool. with it.
situation,
You
before
didn't
y'all
need
switch the
that.
situation,
But
y'all
like,
have used
think
this.
about
Y'all have
two
used alone.
girls together. Why would you need that?
Fair enough. I respect that.
That
And I
is
mean,
why.
saliva is
That
nowhere
is
near
why.
as good a lubricant as people like to make it out to be. It's not.
It's not. I mean,
It's
I don't-
underrated.
I don't
It's
jerk off
overrated,
with-
excuse
I never
me.
jerked off
Water
with spit
soluble.
as a
It's
kid.
overrated.
Why don't we have safe words anymore?
Oh, I have
Yeah, why did we get rid of safe words?
Because I didn't feel like we
topics,
needed them
that's
anymore.
Well, there we go
Wait,
listening to you.
Can I be the smart?
There was our first mistake.
Can I be the smart person? Real
There's
fast?
our second mistake.
Can I just say safe word?
So heard
Jamie,
from
go ahead. Go ahead,
heard
sir.
from an OBGYN that the wetness from a female's vagina is also almost the same as the saliva that comes out of your.
Oh my God! All right, I would like to go
If
ahead
we
right
gonna
now.
talk about
It's
spitting on some
cleansing
shit. or
and-
Wait, we
whatever.
live in a
Well-
democracy. We live in a democracy live right now on the air. I would like to make a motion that we bring back safe words. I need this motion seconded.
I second the motion.
All in favor of motion,
Like
say
any of us
aye.
ever paid attention to
Can
what
I-
a
Aye.
safe
Hush!
word
I'm
was?
Aye.
shut up. There's a motion on the floor.
in the world.
All in favor of bringing back safe words, say aye.
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 Damn it.
Yes.
Aye. All right.
Molly.
I'm new.
Cool.
Nah.
All,
You can
all
say
not in
aye,
favor,
yeah.
say nay.
Fuck off.
There you go.
Two,
For the
two
first
nays.
fucking time,
Two
I agree
nays.
with Marcus.
Two nays to three ayes. The ayes have
Can't
it.
even get it right.
We're bringing back safe words next week because we need it
We
like
need
some
them.
people need Jesus.
I'm glad that that's happening after I leave.
You'll be back. That's fine. All right. So
I would have used the safe word a long time ago.
All right, so we only got a few minutes left. We got a
That
steady
escalated
roll.
So I want to
quickly,
just bang
I
out.
thought.
I just want to bang.
Escalated.
Bang out.
Go ahead. Let's
Bang out. What you about to
boom,
bang
bang it out, St. Arnold's. I want to give a shout out to St. Arnold's. Come join us tonight at St. Arnold's in Cleveland Park. We're going to be down at the Abbey. We're going to be getting drunk and we're going to be bartending. Mike Harrison is bartending night, right?
Yes,
Yes,
special guest
hopefully
bartender.
he is there now. Hopefully, so he is holding down the fort until we get there.
Way to go, Mike. So we'll be there. If you want to hang out with us, we'll be there
And
when our bell's on.
every week after the show, unless something crazy happens, we are hosting an after party. So if you don't catch us tonight, you can catch us every Sunday afterwards. We're hunkered down at St. Arnold's in the meantime for the time being. And so that's where the action is. But
I love Cleveland
Jamie,
Park.
why don't you tell everybody about our wonderful sponsors?
Oh, let's talk about these beautiful sponsors right here. Let's talk about this St. Arnold's group, plain and simple. We got Cleveland Park.
Cleveland.
We got Tiber Beer House.
What you really want?
Or was it Beer House? Beer House.
Beer
Or
House.
whatever, how it's supposed to be
Is
spelled or
it
whatever. Let's talk about Jefferson
H-A-U-S?
Place. And we
House.
have literally
It's fancy.
3 of
House.
the best bars in DC, one of which is in Bethesda in Maryland, and we're not going to hold that against them. But
I will.
honestly speaking, tonight,
Upper Caucasian.
guys, please come meet us. Please come meet us at
St. Arnold's.
At the Abbey
the
in the
Cleveland.
basement.
We're gonna be there. You can
In
come
Cleveland
see
Park.
me.
Shout out
come
to the
cuss
memory
me
of
out. You can
Club
come
Soda.
have a good time with
Drug
us, the whole
soda.
9 yards or whatever like that. But honestly speaking, the food
She
is
was
amazing.
old.
Drug
The food is amazing.
soda.
It's only been
Everything
an hour
is
and
really, really
15
good.
minutes.
And when you come down
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
Abbey, you can come down and have some of the most quality Bavarian
Belgian.
Belgian.
Guys, when I say what
We have Belgian beer.
Stop it.
y'all
Stop-
gonna keep
stop
y'all
it.
gonna keep correcting me. and I'ma
Philadelphia,
swear to God,
if
Still have
you're
that
if,
muscle
I'm gonna put
special?
y'all down for y'all disrespecting y'all
Let's
y'all
arm-
barbarism.
Can we arm
hashtag
wrestle
learn
tonight? Can we-
hashtag learn
So
geography.
you just want to
Val,
lose?
do they
Is that
still
what I'm
have
hearing
that?
right
All
now?
right. So here we go. We're gonna close
Yes.
it. We're gonna close it out right now.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10:24. We
Yeah,
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
so
take- it's
much
Started
fun.
10 minutes late.
We started late.
Oh, we started 10 minutes late.
Oh, we can go. Yeah. Well, then in that case, I want to talk about this one guy. Hold on, let me go back.
This
down.
one guy. Oh,
Hold
in
on,
our
wait.
in our
But
segment.
Wait, hang on. Can we just talk about St. Arnold's a little bit more?
It's a voice
you
of
just had
reason.
you just had a question. Yes, we do have the mussels.
Oh, I
there
love
are
those muscles.
up to 20 different mussel pots, different recipes, different
Different styles.
The garlic,
yes, different
that's
styles.
the one I like.
We every day during the week we have Monday through Friday from at the St. Arnold's on Jefferson from 3:30 to 6:30, and then from at the one in Cleveland Park it's from 4 to 7. We have happy hour where you can get mussels for $11. You can't
Yeah.
get that anywhere. You can't
You
beat
do
that.
to go too. People don't realize. Don't anymore. Don't anymore. Sorry.
Not allowed.
Sorry.
But it's really good. And then we also have specials on some of the Belgian beers that we have on tap. At the Abbey tonight, we have a few new beers that we just tapped recently. One is Cuvée de Troll. It is a blonde ale, and it has a little fruity honey finish to it. It's actually really good, despite the fact that I only drink Bud Light. I actually kind of like it.
Yeah.
What are you changing your tone here now?
No, I still only drink Bud Light
I don't see you drinking tonight.
because I'm not drinking this
Why you
month.
gotta blow up her spot?
I'm on the Jan plan. I am on the Jan
Oh,
plan.
you doing the dry January?
I call it the Jan plan, yeah.
The Jan plan?
Whatever makes you get.
You know
Whatever
how I
makes you
feel
get
about-
through tonight.
I feel the same way I do about that like no nut November thing. Like
Who
no
does
nut
that?
January.
What is
No,
that?
no.
What?
Like
This
you want
is
me, you want me to
madness.
take 31
Why
days
didn't you
not
bring
to
that
bust
up
a
during-
What is this bullshit?
Lost your
What
mind.
is this bullshit?
Why-
we talking
why-
about?
I do not understand.
Safe word.
Why didn't you
I do
bring
not
that
do.
up
I do not
during
understand.
the-
Look at your dumb ass in
Safe
her
word.
natural habitat.
Why would you not
That's
jerk
like,
off
Make
for a
it
month?
another
Like,
coming
you know,
to
or
America.
Jane, you Harry. Like, who gives a shit if you fucking if you trim the runway? I mean, I
Can
don't
we,
care. Do it.
can we talk about this? There's two topics I'm going to talk about real fast. We got 5 minutes on the clock.
Oh, in a fun segment that we would like to introduce to you called "What Did You Think Was Going to Happen?"
Go with the second story, and then we'll go to it first.
Man, this was some. All right, I don't know if some of y'all have heard about the woman that got banned from Walmart.
She's a hero.
She's a hero.
A real American hero, and this link will not open on my shit. But
What?
this woman was so off the chain. They found her drunk. She was drinking red wine out of a Pringles can.
I
And
fucking-
she was in like a
she was in a cart. Yeah, she was in a scooter.
cart?
She was in a rascal. She was in a rascal rolling around the store. Oh, here we go. Yeah, a woman drinking wine from Pringles can while riding electric shopping cart banned from Walmart. I got
Is
goosebumps.
it all Walmarts?
The cockles of
think
my heart
so.
are overflowing,
There's
and
no
I don't even know
S
what
on
cockles
Walmart.
are. But
I feel like I am that woman.
it's and guess what part of the country this happened in?
Yes.
Florida.
America's
Dun, dun, dun,
penis.
dun.
America's penis, ladies and gentlemen. Florida. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Walmart gave us Yodel Boy. After all, and Florida gave us. Oh, wait. This is.
This guy.
That's weird. They said this guy. Well, I guess.
It's
Whatever.
the link.
guy.
It's
But
the
anyway,
link.
so when police
This
arrived,
guy. This
according
guy.
according to
Florida-
Thrillist.
Gave us this guy, the Florida man who.
Oh,
who
they're
takes
doubling
5
down on the
foot
Floridian
alligator
man
on a beer
shenanigans.
run.
So yeah, this is all I guess going on in the same week. So this woman is banned for riding a rascal and being drunk on some red wine Pringles, and then and apparently there's a thing. It's like bird box alligator wrestling where people put on blindfolds and wrestle alligators,
Also
which
in
is
Florida.
the most amazing Darwinian phenomenon I could think of.
I meant to ask y'all, how
went
did
to
y'all feel
Florida
about
for a
that
year.
movie?
It was wild.
I never saw it, but the memes were amazing.
I haven't seen it yet.
I
Yeah,
feel the memes were so awesome. I feel like if I saw the movie now, it would only disappoint
Can
me.
I
agree.
Can I also say in message form, I was gonna beat Marcus like all the hell up, and like he gonna send me this meme with like the kicker, the kicker missing the kick and all this other stuff or whatever, and like he gonna send it to me, and I was like, wait, pause. Your team ain't make the playoffs.
Whatever, that
and
Bird
ain't-
Box shit
and
was
ain't
funny.
been made the playoffs or
your
whatever.
team?
That shit was
Big
so
shout
funny.
out to the New York Giants.
I'm a Detroit Lions fan. You can feel sorry for me at any time.
What fan are you?
I'm from Detroit. I'm
well,
from
at
Hey,
Michigan.
You try.
Hey man, we got like all the other sports.
Oh my
It's
God.
cool.
Wait.
There's a Deadskins fan in the room. I ain't gonna point out who it is.
One last
though.
thing.
But he's the other
Oh, wait,
black
hang
guy.
No.
on. This
I'm
was in Texas.
I'm recovering. Oh, this was
I'm
in
mad at
Texas,
them,
America's
Yeah.
asshole.
Yes.
What was?
The woman,
the
the drunk lady. Oh, and apparently
That's not as
because
fun.
the call took place at 9 a.m. According to a report from New York Times from Times Record News, but she'd been at it since 6:30 a.m.
Good for her.
So here's getting up when the chickens
Sometimes
get
you
up.
hear a
And
retirement plan. And you're like, yes.
sometimes your retirement plan doesn't work out the way you think it's
So
going to.
cute.
But how many times did she get away with it?
Oh, she's probably
Probably
been
a
doing it
lot.
forever.
Right. I just like where did you start?
What
the
if this
Pringles
is-
can was like your next thing?
What if this was
Like, you
always her?
probably experimented.
What
a
if this
little.
was always her thing, and then all of a sudden one day she
Somebody
just
got
She
mad
got,
at her.
like, blown
She just
up.
got on somebody's nerves. You're like, that's it, Martha. I'm tired of you running over my toes,
Stealing my depends.
stinking like
Something
Merlot.
happened.
I'm calling the cops.
You done drunk all my white Zinfandel.
Yo, she's just straight pulling bottles off
That's
off
my
the shelves at
problem with
Walmart.
rosé, is that we just got people to
She
stop.
just
drinking
skipped the
pink
Pringles
wine.
can altogether. It's just going.
Y'all ever
straight
had
to
like
the
a
cup.
one night stand moment and like
Never.
somebody done did some weird shit? You'd
I've
be like,
never
you
had
know
a
what?
one night stand.
What?
You know, I'm
Can I
gonna
use
stop
my
my statement right now
Nice.
because after this show, what's gonna happen is
After this-
I'm a stab the shit.
He said he's gonna
out of
cuck you
Marcus.
All right, can we go from red wine Pringles that made him inject himself with 18 doses of semen? In
Oh
I have
yeah,
to?
I had the fortune of hearing
Yes.
this story on the radio while I was
This
driving
is
my
just
kids
guys
to
thinking they can
school.
solve all their own problems.
And so,
True.
That's disgusting.
wait, where's the?
I don't even like getting
Where's the
cum.
article?
I
Where's
don't
the
even
article?
like getting cum on me
Where's
and
the
rolling in
article?
bed and
It's
shit.
on there.
You ain't never jerked off and they got too close to your chin.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Taking a needle.
Let alone put
He
it in a
thinks he's
goddamn
the answer
needle.
to his own problems. That's
Well, he
weird,
wanted
man.
to cure his back pain, so he injected himself with semen.
When I saw
Yes,
that
thank
on
you. I was
His
waiting for
shit
the
was
backstory on
magic,
that.
though.
When I
He
saw
thought
that
he
on
was
Facebook,
magic.
I giggled and just
Val,
scrolled right
He
past it.
thought he was magic. That's all that happened.
I mean, what does
He
sperm
said
do
this was
in
a-
your arm and your back?
It is.
Who
it
gives a
does
shit?
nothing.
If he thought he was magic, he is not a black woman, and black women are magic.
Black girl magic. All right, so
I
this
think she'd still be mad about the segue. that you
according
just
to
did.
the website
Of course, this guy is Irish.
Gizmodo.
Hey,
Yeah, this guy was 33 years old and injected semen intravenously for a year and a half
He's probably like,
for a self-developed cure intended to treat his chronic back pain. And let's see, reportedly after reportedly injecting semen into his arm for every month for 18 months,
I quit.
the man finally
18
sought
months?
medical
Where did he put
attention,
it?
but not for his arm. The patient
that means they had to
instead.
gather it.
He complained of severe sudden onset lower back pain, having
shit.
lifted a heavy steel object 3 days beforehand. During his checkup, the doctors found
He has
a
a
patch.
jar.
They found a patch of red swelling on his right forearm.
Put the lotion in the basket.
After which the man admitted he'd been injecting himself with his own semen using a hypodermic needle, which he purchased online. So he was using the same needle. Same needle. The red flags just keep on coming. This
Click on that bullshit.
Probably on Tinder.
This time around, he had injected 3 quote-unquote doses of semen, entering both his blood vessels and his muscles.
Do you think it was fresh?
Oh.
He gathered it. Do you think he like, this is where I put it in my Pringles can? What is this in?
Oh,
Oh my god.
God,
Why
hold
did
on.
you
I
just
want
shoot
to.
it in his ass?
Do you know how annoying that would
callback.
be? Like every time you jerk off, you're like, hold on, wait,
Hold on,
I gotta get 6 cc's of some semen real quick when I
Or maybe
when I
he
inject
saved
myself.
It. Maybe he saved it in his little specimen cup.
You put it in the freezer?
But wait, the doctors
Pringles
go
can.
in Adelaide. This is in Ireland. They said this is the first reported case of semen injected for use as medical treatment.
Yeah, because no one. And then he's probably thinking, no one thought of this. This is a good idea.
He's like, and
People
he's
don't
probably
ever believe experts
no,
anymore.
but the real
This
question,
this is
the
a
real
ripple of that.
But Corey, I have a question. The real question is, how many gallons of this man's own semen has he been drinking as a supplement?
Yeah, he's definitely. He bought Alex
wait,
Jones.
the Irish.
His own, you know what I mean? You
He's
drink your own pee. You
definitely
might as well drink your own
on
pee to
that
fill in the,
He's
you
on that
know.
vitamin
Hang
program
on.
for sure.
Ah, Jesus
Wait,
Christ.
so the Irish, they're ridiculous. So they
Watch
so
your
they
mouth.
hold on, no, this is hilarious. So at the hospital in Ireland, they wrote a case study titled "Seemingly Harmless Back Pain:
Yo,
an unusual presentation of
Colon.
subcutaneous abscess."
Holy shit.
That
So-
was published in the Irish
I
Medical
feel
Journal.
sorry for
So-
the doctor that had to do that.
So apparently
Like,
the
there's a
the
pimple
the
popper
swollen
doctor, she's so
region,
nice.
the swollen region on his forearm grew and hardened
Oh
around
my
the area
God.
on
It was
his
on
arm.
his forearm.
Yeah.
Oh, I should.
Yeah, there's a picture.
Here's a picture right here. I got it.
Yeah,
right here.
and so the area
I
around it
want to
had.
see it. No,
That's not bad.
I
Look.
can't unsee
It's just
it.
an arm.
It just
I don't
looks like he's
care.
got
I
a.
not
know
a
what
dick,
it
it's an
is.
arm.
I don't want to see this dude.
And
Pull
an
up the picture?
X-ray
Of his arm.
revealed that an area of air trapped beneath the man's skin. Doctors immediately hospitalized him, treating him with intravenous antimicrobial excuse me, therapy.
Do you think his mom lives in town? Like, she's like very upset about it. And it's just like, oh, what's he up to? And then
No,
they
the
don't know what to say.
the best
you know?
part is, one of the last lines is, the doctors performed a search of the medical literature and beyond, revealing not a single case of intravenous semen injection for back pain has ever been recorded.
You don't say.
I don't want my article about medical anything to have the words and beyond.
and
Beyond.
beyond.
And beyond. I just
Y'all
want it to be like localized.
Y'all remember how Dave Chappelle realized that he was the first person to be like dick
Keenan
holes on TV or whatever? I don't want to be the first person to be like, yeah, I injected my spinal cord with semen.
Dude, that documentary, I'll watch that documentary. Oh, before we go,
Big shots to fire.
all right. First of all, I did not get a chance to watch the Netflix one like I wanted to, but the Hulu one,
good.
I curled up in bed with my body pillow and got my Schadenfreude on and dozed off to sleep watching this fucking like millennial
It's
shit
hilarious.
show fucking go on. And the best part is at the end. Yeah, I said a body pillow, motherfucker. I'm secure enough myself. What? Come at me, bitches. I dare
Delightful.
you.
That sounds
Boo, I would be your body pillow any day of the week.
That sounds
look,
like the crustiest piece of cotton that's ever existed.
No. See,
Y'all ever been to a
See, I'm-
13-year-old's bedroom and looked at his
I'm
sheets?
I'm not 13, so
No.
there's that, and I also,
I have a flashlight.
I think you should give guests safe
Marcus,
words.
you can't say
Guess-
that
yeah.
with the amount of time we have.
we're
left.
bringing safe words back with a
For
vengeance
like
next
Yes.
week.
Like a temporary
Safe word.
one.
As the producer of this show, I think we have plenty of time.
Vengeance. So, but yeah, so Fire Fest, this wonderful.
I want to see it. I
Parody-
like watching people who don't deserve money be sad.
It is
I'm,
the- it
like,
is the-
in.
it
I'm
is
so
the-
in. Like people that thought that was.
It's a good video. It's a good documentary.
It is the peak of Schadenfreude.
That dude has
I've
no
seen
clue.
like 400 documentaries.
Also,
so I'm
if
gonna
you
really-
go
And
back
this-
a
I'm gonna
year,
really ask.
if you go back a solid year, and the sheer fact that they were like, "Oh, Ja Rule is going to be there,"
four best parts of this
Do you
fucking
think 50
documentary.
cents bought
Is the
50
Ja
cent
Rule
bought
Ja
a bunch
Rule,
of, tickets?
Delroy, the bartender from the Bahamas, who
Delroy
was like
was funny as fuck.
the fixer. He was the fixer that was like, they were like, so you think we can pull this off? And he was like,
No.
and they just ignored him and kept on doing shots and riding jet skis and
And
shit.
he was like, no. And he has to begin. He's
Jet
like,
skis are pretty
no.
fun.
Yeah, and then let's see. The dude that started the Firefest fraud Twitter account.
I like that guy.
That guy was fucking money.
He's like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
He
What's
was
wrong
like,
with
this
you
is
guys?
bullshit. And the fact that at the end of it, first of all, shout out to Hulu for just straight scooping Netflix. And then not only
Yeah,
that, doubling
they really
down
did.
on it. And at the end of the documentary, they're like,
They
oh,
put-
yeah, The one that Netflix is doing is being put out by
Fuck Jerry
Media, which is these
people involved.
people
in
that basically told everybody this is going to be the best time of your life, all the way up until the
and
disaster.
I liked Fuck
So
Jerry till that.
Hulu called Netflix a poser.
Basically,
Yes.
They
Called
see,
him
I
out
don't
for
have
what they were.
Hulu.
like
I don't have Hulu, so I didn't know that.
yeah.
I will give you my account.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I'm the person that gives my.
I don't
money
even,
back.
and part of me actually, like, I want to watch the Netflix one just for context, but I don't even really want to now.
You don't
Like,
even need to see it.
the fact that, these Fuck Jerry dudes, and one of the dudes from Fuck Jerry quit,
And he
and he
told-
was on the Hulu one, and
Oh.
basically, like, dimed
So,
them out.
Wait, revenge documentarian.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this is
Well, he
like-
pretty much took it on. He's like,
it's
I'm the
such-
one that ran the shit. I did it.
He was like the hand, like the rest of the guys were like idea dudes, money dudes, I think, and he was the one that like
He was the
actually could
marketer.
use a computer.
And that's the guy that got the money from the Netflix one.
No, he's the
he
one
got
that was
from-
on the Hulu one. He quit Fuck Jerry after the whole thing went to shit.
After though, but he was responsible for it.
Yeah, but
Well, yeah. I mean, he might have got money. I have no idea if he got
So
money.
what-
I don't know if he got paid
I
or not.
apologize. Which side is the people that took the money and is making money still on?
Anyone who
The
paid for
Netflix.
any of that
Netflix.
bullshit is an idiot.
Yeah, well, because the guys from Fuck Jerry teamed up with Vice, which really disappoints me.
I know that
Vice.
really, really
Like,
fucking pisses me off as well.
Also, if you really think
I
about
love Vice.
it,
They did a
like,
great
like,
piece.
I know.
Well, I don't like the fact that they did this. What,
But
did you guys pay attention to the invite? The fact that like Ja Rule was the headliner, and then it was like, oh, we'll have
all those
Instagram
people.
influencers.
first of all, fuck Instagram influencers unless you like the show.
Fair enough. And that's I gotta agree with that one.
I'm gonna tell you right
Well,
now.
if you're into this
guys,
show, we can be friends.
I'm a sell out. I ain't gonna hold you.
I'd sell out like a motherfucker if I had
Like
the option.
seriously, I hate ramen noodles. If ramen noodles was like, hey,
Are
guys,
you wearing
I
Nissan
think
Cup
that'd
of
be
Noodles
actually a
boxers
really
right
cool
now?
thing to get sponsored by
we'll,
ramen.
we'll sponsor
I would
you
wear
this
that,
and this
like-
and this. I'm gonna tell you.
I would get sponsored by
Oriental and shrimp would be
Oriental
the
is
most
racist.
I'm
biggest
picturing
Oriental
it,
is
like,
no
I've
longer
ever had in my
acceptable.
entire
Talladega
life.
Nights with like ramen on the patches for some
All
reason.
right, so we're gonna make our way out of this show. Miss Corey, would you like to give us a little shout outs to your girlfriend, wife, and her brewery?
Oh no!
She doesn't want to be associated with us.
No,
Never
not
mind.
at all. No, not at all. So my wife grew up with the O'Connors, and we're part of the O'Connor family, and so she was an initial investor with her dad, and I was lucky enough to. Patty O'Connor is the only woman that has ever congratulated me for vacuuming 3 times in 1 week. Like they're like good family
Wow.
friends, and they're actually participating in the pay it furloughed program, and
Yeah,
so
we'll
I'm
put
big
their
fans.
information in the show
No,
notes.
O'Connor is great, and they're the number one selling Virginia IPA, I believe, with El Guapo.
Ew.
But also just like the nicest people you've ever met. But I know O'Connor's sold all over DC, so they're part of that pay it furloughed program, and I had a great time. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, we had
Happy to
I'm so
have
glad
you.
you
had fun
came.
with
And
you.
thanks for you put in extra time behind the scenes, unbeknownst to
Oh no, it's
general
good.
public.
Can I
We
talk about
appreciate you.
de facto DC?
Yeah,
real
go,
quick?
go.
Yes, take it away,
You
go.
know what? I'll give you 5.
Oh,
You got
5. That's a lot of time.
Well, good. We'll have questions.
Trust
Yeah.
me, we'll fill it in.
So District Industry was started in 2013 because I needed that small piece of plastic to run my beer lines. But a year ago, someone asked me why, you run that bartender site, and I was like mildly horrified because, District Industry is supposed to be for the entire hospitality community to talk to each other and communicate. And we actually made the leap to Instagram, and I had a hard time coming up with stuff that was. The thing about Instagram is you never know who's talking to you. And DC, I think, is like a world-class chef city. I've known so many amazing line cooks that, like, the biggest compliment you can get as a person in hospitality is a good family meal, And I just wanted to start the hashtag de facto DC, which just means real food in DC.
hashtag de facto DC.
And I'll put any of your real food on our Facebook. On our Instagram. So, and it's just at District Industry. And so if you find something that like you love in your family meal, like just take a picture. It doesn't have to look perfect. Influences are great and they have a place in the media, but I also think that there's some really good food that's probably lost in the mix. And I really want to show the the heart and soul, heart of the house, And so I would love to get anything. It's dcindustry@gmail.com, and I'll put that on District Industry on Facebook, but also it's District Industry on Instagram, and I would love to get some pictures from people who are really cooking at their home, like not just chefs, but primarily just because the food doesn't look perfect.
Oh, it's great when everyday people really
like,
get into
like
what they're
my mom
making,
makes,
and
like my mom makes this amazing. It looks like gruel from Pink Floyd's Dark Light.
from like The Wall or some shit.
Right, but her dumplings are amazing, and it doesn't look great. But man,
Oh, if you've never seen chicken and dumplings before, you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But if you've had
What am
good
I
chicken and
eating?
dumplings, that shit'll change your life.
Exactly, and so like people miss out on that. They miss out on like the real us culture. And
I love
DC's
that.
an old city, and I came from Michigan and Detroit. And Detroit's an old city, and they have their own heritage. And sometimes they feel like DC's food culture like hasn't found their like authenticity that isn't internationally known. Like I always have people that come
Half
in.
smokes aren't internationally known.
They should be.
Only at
They should be.
only at Home
Mambo
Depot.
sauce isn't internationally known.
I didn't think it was okay. The mayor ripping on Mumbo
No.
sauce. I love
Man.
that.
I feel like
loved
Mumbo sauce, honestly
I will eat
speaking.
it on everything.
I think mumbo sauce, honestly speaking, like when I first got to DC in 03.
It's delicious.
And like,
It's sweet and spicy.
and like
Wait, where are you
senior-
from, Jamie?
It's like senior Howard, like guy I played football
Put
with,
it on
was legit
anything.
like, yo, let me get you this mumbo sauce. And I got that mumbo sauce. And it was the only thing I could talk about in the locker room. And it was like
Besides the
literally
dick?
everybody who wasn't from DC, it was the only thing you can talk about. Big shout out to mumbo sauce.
Shout out to Mambo sauce.
Mambo
Hey,
sauce.
shout out to Corey Bryant. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. And I just
you.
thanks for everyone who cares about district industry and
I believe we're all
the general hospitality community. But we evaluate membership on 3 ways. Number 1, if you are a friend of mine, I'll let you in. If you answer the questions, I'll let you in. If you have a lot of friends in the group already, but also if you have your byline of like what restaurant you work in. Now I realize for security issues, not everybody has where they work on their Facebook. But if you don't meet those criteria, like please just direct message me that I'm inviting this person in. And I always try to welcome them because sometimes people come in from out of town.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh, this is everyone needs jobs and things. Like I want to welcome them, but I also like trolls are real on Facebook. And it's I'm only as good as the platform I'm on, and one day I hope we'll be an independent website. But in the meantime, yeah, that's a nice goal.
We'll make it happen.
But
Also-
thank you for everyone who
Corey,
cares.
she also started the similar page in Baltimore, which is amazing because they needed one.
Yeah, so I started Charm City Industry, and then I forgot that the reason I started my page was because I had 300 friends. So there's actually a really great person named Jackie Davidson that started Baltimore Industry, and I went and met with her, and they had a person that was like robbing all of these restaurants and kind of running a scam, and so they came together and like fought crime
dude.
like Batman.
That's
You
pretty
mess
good.
around in Baltimore, dude. You
Yeah,
better
and like they
watch.
came together and like solved each
Ow.
other's problems, and it's a real group. It's called
Shout out to
Baltimore
my peeps in Charm
Industry,
City.
and Jackie's on our admin, so anybody from Baltimore Industry can be in District Industry, and then if you are in District Industry, we can let you into Baltimore Industry, and
Is there
they're
a
down the
sign on
street. And when that rocket train comes, they'll be very close. So
Ooh, I can't wait for that train.
Baltimore Bullet Train.
yeah, that's good.
be fun.
Baltimore Bullets. It doesn't.
Oh, do you know what? That's all Baltimore needs is an NBA team in the
That's
mix.
so
to just
disrespectful.
Fucking, oh, I know. Yeah, shout out to yeah.
I
If you've ever been DC and Baltimore have. Well, here's the thing, and this is not a diss on you being from Philly, but DC and Baltimore have a very special and specific
yeah,
relationship
we're friends.
that
We
anybody
like them.
outside of there
Friends
doesn't
my
understand.
ass.
No.
That's not true.
Hey,
Look,
my
look.
mom lives outside of Baltimore.
I don't, dude. I'm gonna tell
I mean,
you right
I-
now.
Hang on,
I go to Baltimore and I get love. I've never had a bad time
Baltimore reminds me of Detroit.
in Baltimore,
I mean,
man.
I grew
Like,
up
it's
in
like a
The
I
city
grew
that
up in Baltimore.
reads, the city that bleeds,
Baltimore.
like
I
Gotta
grew up
say-
outside of
Can you
Baltimore.
say Baltimore again?
Baltimore.
Balmer.
Baltimore.
Can we
Baltimore.
get some churries from Strong Island?
Come on,
I got, I'm going
Can
down
I
the
get a bow?
ocean.
Can I get a bow, huh?
Going to Drudel Park.
Whoa, dude. What I love is that
I
you can
always had a good
you can
time in
go.
Baltimore.
What are you going out? Are you going out tonight?
What I love about Val,
Hey, hon.
she can go from Baltimore to
Do it. Do your mom. Do your mom.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
yeah, the Filipino mom in like 2 seconds. Like,
What are you eating? Why are you eating? You're going to get fat.
I do my mom, but there's so much more cussing.
whoa!
you
Did
do
you
your
just say
mom?
you do your mom?
Whoa.
Oh my God, Jamie!
Y'all,
Jesus!
Wait, pause.
My
pause.
kids are probably
Y'all
watching
can-
right
y'all
now.
can-
They
y'all
don't
can
have
make
school tomorrow.
all the jokes y'all want to. Y'all ain't met Donna. So what I'm saying is, when y'all meet Donna and y'all just made that
Can we
joke,
have Don on the
I
show?
am
We didn't make any joke.
you
said
can
it.
have Donna on the show if you want to, but I'm
Can't
gonna wait
hardly,
outside.
Can't hardly wait.
But-
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Jamie, you got a shout out on our way out?
Shout out and your socials.
No.
Give us your socials.
I have no shout outs. I have no shout outs. You know what? How about this?
Give us your socials.
Guys, it's our first show. It's our first show. And one of the tattoos that I have on my wrist is Hero. And the reason why I have that Hero tattoo is because somebody at one point in time told me that my views made me their hero. So how about this? How about this?
beautiful,
How about this?
actually.
I thought it was some
How about
really
this?
bad
Bag of
accent
dicks, y'all.
spelling.
I
Hello.
know no matter what type of
I
piece
love
of
that you
shit
haven't
I can
spoken in
come
30
up
minutes, but that's what you
off
said.
of, at the end of the day, I would wish that anybody who is listening to the show, who is in earshot of everything that's going on right now, wakes up tomorrow and is happy.
Damn.
And that's the best way I can
That's
see
a great one.
a
Dude,
Moment
fucking
of zen.
hero.
what's your social media? Where can people find you?
Oh, Bars Simpson on Twitter. I'm also
he's all
James
out.
James Roderick. James Roderick on Facebook.
And
And you can hit me. You can hit me on Instagram as Lives Infamously. I know I gotta like put all this stuff to
We'll work
coincide,
together.
but I'm in my 30s and I don't know how to do things.
oh, get out of
Yeah.
here, fucking generation.
Okay, boo, Boosif.
Anyways, I thought
Young
the hero
Boosif.
thing was like his favorite sandwich. He just liked him so much, he got him tattooed on his
Also,
from Philly.
ain't nobody in Philly ever called a fucking sandwich a hero.
It's a grinder
He goes to grinder.
or a
Dick.
hoagie. It's a hoagie.
Boo, we about to
Hoagie?
fight outside in Mortal Kombat.
Are we gonna scissor
Say it in
fight?
your Baltimore accent.
What?
You
What's
trying to
sandwich
bump
in
clams?
Baltimore?
You trying to Indian leg wrestle?
Sandwich? Sandwich?
Same way.
Val.
Val Torres.
Shout outs and socials.
Shout out. I don't know. Shout out to Michael Harrison for holding down the fort over down there at over down there.
Baltimore's gonna send us hate mail.
No,
You guys
no.
hate
We
me
just
all.
got to
So,
start having some of them on the
I'm
show.
a temporary
Hold please.
person.
When I was younger, I did not believe I had an accent. I did not. And then when I
Michigan
came,
people also like to
and then
pretend
when
they
I
don't have
came
an
to
accent.
DC, and you know, like in DC, your accent like flats out, right? It
We
gets,
don't have an accent here.
right? It flattens out a little bit. So
Fuck
then,
that. Y'all
then-
are full of shit.
Hold on.
You a lying ass bastard. How about this?
There-
Hey, yeah? Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, boo, fight me.
loud.
didn't even say anything. I didn't understand.
No, you did. Ayo,
He's got a point there.
What?
He's got a point.
Anyway, I
They do what
listened.
they
I
do.
listened to myself on like tapes
what's
and
up,
stuff
Mo?
for when I was in high school, and I was like, "Oh, I really did have a Baltimore accent."
Oh, when you hear
Like,
yourself
I was-
on tape?
yeah.
I
I'd
love
li-
my
I'd be
voice
like,
here. I
great.
hate it on tape.
And my cousin would always make fun of me because he'd be like, "What are you saying?" I'd be like, "What do you mean? I'm going out tonight."
Oh my god.
Or I'd say like, "No." I'd be like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Like I'd be like, "No,
No.
Say water.
water."
Oh shit! She hit you with the WOODE.
Wait.
Oh, Wooder. Actually, there's no E. It's just WOODR.
No.
Wooder.
No.
Hater.
No. You ain't even.
Shout out to people that
you
say
faked
crayon
that
with
one.
two syllables.
You faked that. You know what? You know my first
Crayon.
favorite hate.
Not
Crayon?
crayon.
Hate.
Not
Crayon?
crayon.
It's
Crayon.
Crayon.
No, it's a
Crayon?
crayon.
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 You fucking
Crayon.
savages.
Crayon.
Fucking Philistines.
Going down the ocean. He wants to go down the ocean.
Bloody fucking savages. All of you.
I got a homie who says button.
Anyway, shut
so
up.
annoying.
Wait. Says what?
Button. So annoying.
Button.
They be like
Button?
buttons.
Oh.
So I'm gonna
Put your fucking hands up. Like
when I worked at so I did my internship as a very young person at like 21 at Disney, and I was the only Yankee among everyone. And there are 3 words that you can tell where everyone is part of the whatever part of the country they are.
like 138
Hold on.
years old, aren't
Ready?
you?
So I'm gonna spell it OIL. So you say that.
Oil.
Okay, you say that.
Oil.
And you say that.
Nope, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna embarrass myself.
Say
and
it,
everyone's gonna
fucker.
be
Say
mad at
it.
me. Nope, y'all can go fuck yourself.
Hold on, stop. As
Oil.
much as you run your mouth, you won't say the word oil,
Nope,
motherfucker.
nope. You want to know why? You
All right,
wanna know
mute
why?
his microphone for the rest
Say
of the
water.
show.
Say water.
Water, motherfucker.
Exactly. That's why I don't say fucking certain words.
Well, he was like, say water.
Say water.
That's why he don't want to say oil.
No,
Oil.
I said it last night, and somebody was like,
How do you say
"What do
it?
you mean?"
Oil.
Oil.
When you say
Now, I
oil
have,
as
like, a
one
muddle
syllable,
of Oil.
when you say oil as one syllable,
All
oil,
right, so
it sounds
the
like
next
you're about
word
to.
is milk. M-I-L-K.
Milk.
Milk.
Now I'm from Michigan.
Did
so
you say
I'm
milk?
I'm
I'm
gonna
not-
gag
I'm
on
not
that
gonna
A.
repeat that one.
What A?
Like the
There's no
Pornhub
A.
segment. Like I'm just gonna gag on that A. Like milk.
There's no,
Milk.
there's no
What are
A
you,
in milk.
German?
No,
How about this? I will
Pennsylvania
see
Dutch,
all of you
bitch.
in
It's
hell.
fine.
Like,
I don't even
Milk.
know what's going on
Milk.
anymore.
Harvey.
Milk.
Was I shouting
milk,
out?
but
Milk.
It's that hard A. That milk.
What A?
I can-
What A? What the fuck is MILK? What is this A
No,
shit? I
There is
don't
no
understand.
A in milk.
I need an adult and a safe word.
I need none of those things. So, Boo, finish it. Well, no, I got to finish out. So, Bill, your turn.
Man. Oh my
Shout out
god.
to social, Boo Boo.
Oh my
What do you
god.
want
My
to
shout out. Shit. Yo, shout out to all of you guys. Was really excited about our first episode. We started off in typical District of Misfits
We gotta
fashion.
practice.
You know what I'm saying? But
on.
I look forward to working out all the bugs. I look forward to coming up with more fun and exciting content and having awesome people on the show. And shout out to Molly for helping us facilitate Heartcast Media. For those of you that care and
Fucking
want
cackling
to
shit going
see
on
me and hear me talk about my bands and my music and post
Do you even
obnoxiously
know,
cute
Bill?
pictures of my babies,
They're so
you can
cute.
find me on the social medias at Crushing Boo, all one word.
Crushing Boo. My turn? It's my turn.
Take it away, Marcus.
concussion.
Take it away.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to my whole family. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had a very strenuous and stressful, well, not really so stressful. We all pulled together, and it was a really loving and caring thing. I thought I was going to cry like a little bitch at a funeral I went to recently.
But of
and
You
course you
definitely
did.
got all your tears out before that.
I totally
That
got my
you did.
tears out for, and I want to thank all of you guys in this room for letting me cry. Even
Happy.
you, actually. You were part of that show.
Happy to help.
And it was good. It was getting out. My cousin and my second cousin, her daughter, actually did really well, and it made us laugh. It was good seeing a lot of people in the place and a lot of politicians. So it's my aunt made me feel like a complete asshole because I'm.
You're an
That-
asshole.
Because you are.
I
Because you
realized-
are.
Don't say.
I found out what a great human being she was, and her big things were faith, community, and family. And it made me think about a lot of things and made me realize, we got to give better, especially like with this furlough thing. This is like a side thing. Giving to the next person, giving to paying it forward, doing all these things, and, working together.
Do something good for no good fucking reason.
Yeah, and that's what my aunt was about. So that's what I want to go out on. I love her. Thank you very much for being part of my family for 40 years, essentially. So that we're going to close out. Thank you for joining us for the first and many more to come. Districts of Misfits Show. Thank you to our special guest, Miss Corey. Thank you. You were awesome. I appreciate
Yes,
everything.
you did a wonderful
You're pretty fucking funny. I appreciate that.
in my weird way.
And to our sponsors, we
say
got
that
the
in
DC as
Baltimore?
Fuck brand, we got the Heartcast Media, we got St. Arnold's. That we're going to be at St. Arnold's night in the Abbey in Cleveland Park. Please join us. One Love Massive. Anything, Chuck Evans? Anybody else?
I think you just nailed it. You just hit all the nails on the head,
All
bro.
right, signing out for the Heartcast Media Studio. One Love Massive. I am Marcus Bradley Dunman, a.k.a. the motherfucking Pasteurized Chef. We're the Misfits. We're out.